Everyone around me is an enemy. See my life cross my eyes. I'm ready to fall. I'm ready to rise up. I will do what it takes. If it's you or me, then I'll take the shot. Still they say I'm the villain. I'll scream and nobody listens. Still they say I'm the villain. Too bad you can't take me down. Too bad you can't take me down. You can't take me down. I'm ready to fall. I'm ready to rise up. I will do what it takes. I'll run blind straight into the flames. Watch me burn, alone in the shadows. I'll carry you home on my back. If it's you or me, then I'll take the shot.
Hello, League of Legends fans, and welcome to the Tier 1 Riot Rumble Finals. My name is Greg Adler. I am so very happy to have you all here for this amazing match. I'm joined by some incredible co-casters here. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves one at a time? Go ahead, Ali.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ali. I'm researcher. Do we talk about our roles? Well, we're here to cast, right? We're here to cast Tier 1 Rumble Finals. Super excited.
Yeah, I'm Nick. We're here to cast, and we're really excited to see these games.
Yeah, I think it should be some pretty fun games for all those that don't know. For full context, this is the finals of Tier One. So this is the highest division of Riot Rumble. The teams have been playing for about a month and a half now. So this is the grand finals. Both teams made it all the way through playoffs to get here, and so it should be a pretty exciting best of three.
Yeah, super excited to watch the pinnacle of Riot Games esports, our competitive experience. We have two really strong teams facing up here today with our Tier 1 finals, and I'm really excited to see what gets pulled out between Rammus 310 and Large Scale Gap, our Tier 1 finalists here today.
Yeah, we've had some really interesting pick bans. These teams have actually already played before. They were in the same group, and so they've actually managed to not only previously play a BO2 in the group stage, but they're actually now facing off against each other in finals. Previously, Rammus 310 did get the 2-0 over Large Skill Gap in their group match, but obviously, Large Skill Gap has, I think improved a lot, and they've won their way up through the playoff bracket, and I think again, like I said, I think they've been looking a lot better, and I'm hoping to see a competitive, hopefully 3-game series today.
Yeah, definitely hoping to go the full three and bringing up results as well. Rammus 310 is also the one seed in playoffs, so they had the first round bye. They are technically the favorite in this matchup, as Nick mentioned before. They'd won the match previously, and I believe Large Scale Gap was the five seed, so they got a little bit of an upset to get to where they are. So hopefully they're going to come out strong and we'll get a full series here.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you speak about favorites because at Tier 1, at this level of gameplay, we do have favorites. We do have teams that might have better performances than some of the other teams. But I believe that at this level, with the quality of the teams that we have, it feels like the level of play is still very close. It feels like it's very difficult to place your bets on one team over another, and it's very hard to tell whether this will be a quick 2-0 or a quick or a 2-1 and go the full distance.
Yeah, and I'll say we've had a lot of T1 Rumbles over the years. I've played in some, I've watched a lot of others, and I will say, as far as I'm concerned, I think this has been one of the closest and most competitive T1 Rumbles that we've ever seen, and so I think it's been really exciting. I do think the group that was containing these two teams actually did look a little stronger than the other group, and those teams did succeed a lot more in playoffs overall, and so we are looking at what I think ends up being the sort of hopefully most competitive match yet. I think the semifinals, of Rammus 310 playing up and getting into the finals were also very exciting, and also I think the semifinals on the other side with Large Skill Gap were also actually reasonably close. The games were fairly competitive, and so we've had a lot of competitive series. But let's just get right into player intros here for Rammus 310.
Yeah, and the first team we have here is Rammus 310. This is top laner Wordy, jungler Triptoid, mid Fofox, and then ADC Oberon with support Rafflecopter, and that's running out the Rammus 310 squad.
Yeah, super promising team comp or a group of players that we see here for Rammus 310. We do have a bunch of storylines that we have seen play out over the course of the last month and a month and a half, and it really will be able to come to fruition here. I think Rammus 310. When I think of Rammus 310, I really think of are we going to see Rafflecopter roaming and helping out the rest of the team? Does that leave Oberon in an awkward position or getting caught like we have seen on a couple of occasions? And mid lane is also another area of focus that I feel will be attacked, especially through drafting and through our draft strategy. I'm super curious to hear your thoughts here too, Nick, about what we think their advantages are, Rammus 310 here.
I mean, to me, I think Rammus 310 just has the advantage of they've just got at least a really solid player in every role, and then they have really competitive players, I think, in AD carry, support, and top. I think Wordy has been incredible, like way better even than in previous Rumbles where he has been like a top of the table top laner previously. He has been, I think, even overperforming relative to expectations there, and the Rafflecopter Auberon bot lane has been incredible. For Auberon has been able to hold the bot lane, play stable and live out like what is often a 1v2 for him while Rafflecopter runs around and kind of slams the map. And yeah, let's talk about large skill gap now, as we do have a whole other team to talk about.
Yeah, and over here on the side of large skill gap, we have Squish in the top lane, Hax Defender in jungle, Polifa in mid, Banwas in ADC, and Zenith in support.
Yeah, large skill gap, of course, when we are thinking of their players, as we're talking about that Hax Defender. The picture we have here is a Graves skin picture, which really tells you what to look out for with this player. We do think that this player is the star player of that team, and in order for large skill gap to really unlock their capabilities, they really need to be able to unlock Hax Defender in that jungler role, especially that he's up against Triptoid, who, even though we have said is a fill player, has still been pretty consistent for Rammus 310 here.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing the Graves today. He tried, Hax Defender did try it a few times earlier on in the tournament in the group stage, and it really did not look particularly good. He actually got a Flame Horizon in one of his Graves games and lost that game, by the way. And so I wouldn't expect to see Graves, but we will probably see some farming junglers. We may see some ganking junglers like the Jarvan he's actually been quite successful on as well. Even, hey, I'm Jarvan and I'm still going to outfarm you. I'm just going to also outgank you at the same time. Let's be real here. Hax Defender is the jungler, I think, of this tournament. He is definitely the like 1v9 jungler of your hopes and dreams. And we'll have to see what he does today. I think he has a very wide champion pool. He could pick a lot of different stuff, and I'm not going to try and predict like, oh, he's going to pick this, he's going to pick that. I think the most confident prediction I'm going to put down here is like, I don't think we're going to be seeing the Graves, even though that is one of his preferences in terms of like the champions he likes to play. I just don't think it's been successful enough for him. And so I think instead, we can even talk about some of the other players on a large skill gap, like the Polifa in the mid lane, who has had Vel'Koz banned against him every single game this tournament.
Yeah, that'll happen when you're a challenger Vel'Koz player in the past. Tons of experience, and I think as well too. I mean, I think even the second most banned champ against their team is Ahri as well.
Yep.
So it definitely shows that teams have been prioritizing those bans against Polifa, just seeing how strong he can be in that mid lane.
Yeah, and at this point of the competition, it still is about comfort. It still is about which champions do you perform the best on, and a lot of the times the teams will try and prioritize those champions. So for example, we do see here, Zach picked 3 times for Hax Defender, Ola picked 2 times, but at the same time, we do have wide champion pools, but we like to keep them targeted. The Karthus bot is another interesting one that we have seen. We have seen Oberon play the most in this competition so far. Yeah, we'll have to watch out for that one, I believe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Karthus bot lane banned here. It's something that's been talked about, right? One of the things that I think makes playing up against Rammus 310 challenging is they have a lot of players where you really feel like you have to ban something, or you really feel like there's a high priority to ban, like the Rafflecopter Pike, which is an incredibly scary thing to play against. Fofox and Nivea, we saw in their semifinal series, was wildly successful in one game. I think one game just looked pretty decent, but it looks like we're going to be moving close to starting out the game here, and we're actually going to be getting into champ select. So let's take a look at these first few bans here and see how things play out, if they line up to what our expectations are from the previous games that we've seen.
Yeah, so I liked a lot that we were talking about the Hax Defender jungle pool. On the opposite side, Triptoid has only played basically Pantheon and Xin. I think he only has one other game on Nocturne. I think that's it. So he has a pretty clear pool of what he's looking to play. So we'll see if maybe that could be a ban consideration, or if they'll stick to their normal kind of top and mid lane bans here. Yeah,
we might see first rotation picking of that jungle role. Of course, we do see the Vel'Koz ban coming through for Rammus 310. The Gwen also. Gwen is one of the more successful picks that we have seen here in this Riot Rumble tournament. Thank you, Nick, for the buffs. and of course, yeah, here's the Olaf. We're really pinching at that champion pool, at Hax Defender's champion pool. And as you predicted, Nick, the Karthus is gone.
The Karthus has been taken out, and it's interesting. They're actually taking a different approach to pick ban than I think a lot of other teams have been, because they're like, I'm talking about large skill gap here. They're banning out the Pike, they're banning out the Karthus, they're banning out the Gwen. They're leaving up the Camille, which has been very highly banned up against Wordy, and I think it's also this is a strategy we did see in the semifinals against Laramus 310 as well. The Anivia is up, and so that's something that Fofox is extremely comfortable on. It's his most played champion by a lot, and they're going to just be locking the Camille here. This has been a priority pick for both of these teams, and so I'm not surprised to see it just straight up locked in for first pick.
Yeah, talking about where we could maybe look to go from here, and we could see an Ari blind pick, as we said before. Pliva has quite played it a lot. It's really interesting that they go with the blind pick Camille top. Talking about some answers here, we've seen Mbessa top. We've seen a couple, maybe even Poppy top as an example. And speaking of Poppy top, there it goes. That looks like the counter, and they'll lock both the solo laners. I mean, it could be a Poppy support theoretically, but most likely maybe a Poppy top with the solo laners both locked in over here.
Yeah, Poppy has been played 3 times. It is Riot Squish's second most played champion here, so it doesn't surprise me that there is priority there, especially that Poppy can be flexed and can deny a lot of team comps coming out of Rammus 310. The Ahri is also another interesting pick here. That even though we saw an Ahri nerfs recently, it is still a very powerful pick at what it tries to do in trying to enable some of those roams and some of those picks in the mid-late game. But of course, on the other side here, we are seeing the Anivia come out of Fofox.
Yeah, and there's that Anivia one trick. I mean, I think we'd love to see that though, right? It's always fun to see players who have like 1 or 2 champions that they are extra good at compared to the rest. See to get them to pilot that champion. See those kind of situations. And as Nick had mentioned before, Fofox had actually played Anivia in both of their recent games, so clearly has some experience coming right into this matchup.
Yeah, and what we're seeing here is that both these teams are picking a lot of the stuff that they've already been playing. That having been said, I like one note I will make about the Ahri. Ahri is, I think, this whole tournament, all of Rumble, is played over the course of about a month and a half. That does leave room for a few patches, and I think Ahri is one of the more changed champions. At the beginning of the tournament, I think when Palifa was most successful on the Ahri, that was when she was building Roa, and Palifa was kind of playing a lot of these like tight plays around like, oh, I'm very tanky and I get to play really, really far up and take a lot of these risks. I do think that he looked fine on it without the Roa build the last time he played it, but it definitely, to me, did not look quite as good as when the Roa build, when Palifa was doing the Roa build. The rest of these champions, though, the Camille for Wordy, the Camille for Wordy, the Xin Zhao for Triptoid, the Anivia for Fofox, it's all comfort, right? Same thing on the other side here, the Camille for, sorry, not the Camille, the Caitlyn for Banwas, and the probably Poppy for Squish. I predict that's most likely going top. It is a good matchup into the Camille. This is all just, hey, these are all things that you've played before, many times in some cases, and only a few in a small number of cases, right? Like the Fofox and Anivia has only gotten to play twice because it's been banned every other game. But it's kind of ultra comfort so far, and I think we'll have to see where this begins to diverge, as we've seen some of the bans here up against the bot lane, up against Rammus 310. That's the large skill gap bans are on the bot lane, and also some bans up against the support role here for targeting Zenith.
Yeah, really curious to see what they pick. They did, like you said, third pick that Kaylin, and we're going to get the Jarvan jungle here. So a little bit of damage coming in from the jungle and some CC initiation.
Yeah, I was really curious to see if they give Hax Defender that R5 and to really try and see that counter pick. But no, Jarvan I think is a very very solid pick here, especially into champions like the Anivia and the Xin, who don't have necessarily have these escapes or reliable escapes to get out of that Jarvan ultimate here, which leaves, of course, the final reveal. I guess you don't want to burn your flex pick here between support and top lane with that Poppy. We still think it's going top lane, but going to Rammus 310, who are picking right now, we are yet to see their bot lane. Caitlyn, of course, is one of Banwas's most highlighted picks. He has picked it 6 times in the tournament so far, and that Bard has also been picked quite a few times from Rafflecopter. You're gonna ban Pyke against him every game. It seems like Bard is the new pick here to enable some of those engages and plays.
I love seeing the Bard. I mean, it's just a fun pick to watch, and honestly, Rafflecopter's great at it. I think talking about the Jarvan pick from Hax Defender, this is something that, to me, doesn't really accurately represent the way that I think of the way the Hax Defender plays. He tends to farm a lot. He plays really, really clean. Like, hey, I'm going to out-tempo you in the jungle. I'm going to invade here because I know you're on the wrong side of the map, and I'm going to generate an advantage at very low cost. I'm going to get tempo on you. I'm going to get advantages. Jarvan is really more of a spam ganker type champion, but doesn't mean that Hax Defender hasn't been good on it. I think it's been very successful for them in this Rumble, and so we're seeing the Alistar for Zenith. I think The bot lane here is kind of interesting, where you've got the long-range Caitlyn up against the Corki, who is very dangerous, but lower range. Like, obviously, damage early game from the Corki is very, very, very high. We haven't seen that much from Oberon. We've seen it, I think, a couple of times here from Oberon so far. But it is something that I think does offer a lot of early game power, and I think that it is a little bit scary if you're looking at the large skill gap bot lane here, where you're up against the Corki Bard. This is very scary in the first couple of levels, could definitely be tough.
All right, folks, we're about to jump into the game here. Chat, let us know your predictions. Put Ram in chat if you think Rammus 310 is going to win. LSG if you think large skill gap is going to win. As we're about to jump here into game number 1 of Tier 1 Finals. Let's get it.
Yeah, loading into game right now. I believe like both comps seem like they have pretty clear identities to go off of here. And as we go straight into game, very shortly, yeah, I'm very interested to see how Hax Defender plays that Jarvan. I really like the draft strategy that came out of Rammus 310 in terms of really pinching that champion pool or pinching Hax Defender's comfort picks. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that jungle matchup plays out, especially in the first few levels, because that could really determine a lot, especially once that Jarvan gets a few ganks off and is able to unlock some of those laners. You know, if that Poppy is not able to be in those positions late game to deny some of those dash engages that come in from the Camille, that come in from the Xin, then that could be a really difficult game over here for Rammus 310.
Yeah, we're seeing the level 1 wards here. These are pretty common these days, of just like both junglers trying to get a ward. As Driptoid going a little deep here, leaving a later ward. I think if he went a little bit deeper there, that might have been risky. But yeah, pretty standard level 1 vision. I think the level 1 vision being established on both sides is generally to the advantage of large skill gap. I think Hax Defender is just going to do more with that information on average than Triptoid, who is generally going to run around and hit the camps. And I'm not exaggerating. That is exactly what he told me that he likes to do. He just said, I just hit the camps, man. Yeah, I think we are going to be seeing the like we were talking about earlier, the Corki Bard bot lane here, which is very strong in the early levels. And we'll have to see if Oberon Rafflecopter can get an advantage, as Hax Defender is killing that ward. But one of the things about that is it's not that meaningful, because you know that Hax Defender has to start topside when he's killing the ward at that timing. And so ultimately, getting rid of that vision doesn't do a ton for you. It may help, you know, disguise like if he's going for like a late invade or something like that, but it's not going to tell you or deny the ability to know which side the Jarvan started on. As we're seeing Triptoid starting out on the blue buff and the Jarvan starting out on the red buff, it looks like.
Yeah, pretty normal starts here. I'm curious on your guys' thoughts on looking at these two teams so far. I mean, you know, obviously some junglers can farm, but they're pretty gank-heavy junglers for the most part. You know, where do you think their priority should be? What of these lanes on both teams do you think are the win conditions?
Yeah, well, both of them starting on the top side of the map, you know, kind of hints at the fact that they're likely going to end up towards the bot side. Of course, that Caitlyn likes to have some of that pressure, but with the Alistar, it gets a little bit trickier. Alistar does really need that level 2, level 3 to really come online in that 2v2 matchup. So until then, we are going to continue to have prio and push coming in from Rammus 310, but I really see that that bot lane could really turn the game really volatile, especially if we don't see as much warding coming out or roaming coming out of those supports in the mid game.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Caitlyn, I think a lot of people, when they see the Caitlyn, they think of like the Caitlyn Lux, the Caitlyn Morgana type of lanes, where you're playing only to push, you want to hit those plates, and you need to force up. Things like the Caitlyn Alistar are a bit different, where the goal is less about like constantly shoving and generating plates, and it's more about like, well, you know, if we get an Alistar combo on you, we might be able to get a trap combo sequence on you, and then like that results in a lot of damage. Might even be a kill, given you know, based on the situation, if you can get some chip damage beforehand. I think just given the profiles of the bot lane here, my expectation is that the large skill gap bot lane is probably not going to be playing, you know, for those kinds of like more risky, dangerous plays, you know, like going for combos and trying to follow up with the trap, unless they see a really good opportunity. I think we're more likely to see Oberon and Rafflecopter playing up and trying to force up on, hey, let's see if we can get a good chunk here, you know, with the, you know, the early game Corki damage, as it does look like Triptoid is just going to go for a base here, just giving the bottom crab, and that is likely going to result, because of the mid lane push here, for a double crab. Really nice early start here for Hax Defender, using the mid lane push from Palifa in order to secure both of those, plus also the fact that he actually just cleared a little bit faster and was in the river earlier comparatively to Triptoid. And I think this might be a bit disappointing for Triptoid here, because it looks like he thinks this crab is going to be up, and it's not going to be up by the time he gets there.
Yeah, it looks like Hax Defender might be possibly looking for a gank and is just going to back off. And we talked about before the game, you know, Palifa and his champs, and he gets his Ahri and gets to pilot it. But one thing about that Anivia too is it's pretty hard to push early game. As we see Alistar going in with the double knock up here, but not much going to come from it. A nice try on that engage from Zenith back to laning. But yeah, you know, early game for the Anivia, it can be a bit tough. Ahri has a little bit of prio, able to pressure early, and we're definitely seeing Palifa kind of getting that advantage in the mid lane.
Oh, and we
right away.
might see our first gank of the best of 3 finals.
Oh, Triptoid coming in, the W from Squish, trying to get away. Oh, nice flash, and is going to survive the gank.
Yeah, that's a good flash that's burned here from that Poppy. Nice hawk shot coming in from the Camille to actually... it wasn't on top of the Poppy herself, but it was slightly further away to try and bait out that Poppy W in order for Xin to actually come in and to dash. And of course, that whole play is the reason why we do see that flash burn from the Poppy. Aggressive trading still coming in from that Caitlyn in the bot lane. But of course, not going to amount to any kills. However, that bot lane and mid lane prio might allow Hax Defender to get some more information through that invade into the jungle.
Yeah, I think the scary thing is I actually like that top lane gank by Triptoid. It was in that moment, it was relatively efficient. The danger is though, he was already down several camps, not only due to being double crabbed, but also because he kind of waffled around on top side, looking to set up that gank for a bit. And you can see now the farm difference between the two junglers. The Jarvan is notably ahead about 2.5 camps here, and this bot lane situation is looking pretty rough. This might lead into a dive here. Triptoid is close, but he's not quite here to actually hold this dive, and this might be a Jarvan combo into some kills if they can get this wave in time before Triptoid gets here, as they don't know.
Yeah, Rafflecopter just stopped the back as well. Triptoid spacing around. Full box is coming in, the initiation, the knockup from Zenith. Corniki's going in, the damage is coming through.
TP.
A great knockup onto Banwas. The barrier is going to get popped. Everyone is so low. Another flash from Jarvan coming in. Banwas taken down to 1 health, and the first blood is coming out, followed up by the follow-up kill. Barge is going to portal to try to escape, and a great wall from Fofox to keep the rest of the opponents away, as a Palifa is going to pick up a kill on Bard for himself. So in the end, a 2-for-1 for large skill gap.
Oh, and that was a great use of maneuvering around the wards in order to not give any information coming in here from large scale gap, which they really did not expect the Jarvan to be here, and the TP that also comes in from that Poppy really enables the play to go around.
Yeah, so we're taking a look at this replay where large skill gap, they have Hax Defender, right? We're seeing that this vision doesn't actually see him. He's in the bush, and they have this play set up, and they're probably communicating with Squish here. Hey, we may need this TP. Triptoid might be here. So we see Triptoid. They get the pulverize from the Alistar, and they are able to stall this out. Banwas buys a lot of time with the barrier heading into the alcove. Oberon does similar play, flashing into the alcove to follow, and ultimately a lot of summoners are blown. And this results in, eventually, because Palifa is here to pick off Rafflecopter on the ways away, it ends up in a 2-for-1 in favor of large skill gap. And that is great for them. I will note, however, that comes at a pretty significant cost. You teleported your top laner down, and currently that's not manifesting in a big CS advantage. You do expect the Poppy to be ahead early against the Camille. Instead, what this is going to result in is the Poppy has lost some of that advantage that you're supposed to be generating up against the Camille early. And that could be scary for Squish, where... yes, you got your team slightly ahead, one favorable kill in advantage. Particularly I think Palifa is going to be very happy with this situation, getting that kill, at a very efficient roam from mid. The scary part is what could be happening here for Squish, especially with no flash, and he's got a Bard behind him.
Rafflecopter trying to come from behind the portal. Squish going to bring him back into the tower, but Zenith's here. The WQ knockup. I think Rafflecopter's eventually going to get taken down here, and he is. A kill going to Squish, and a really great counter gang from Zenith.
Oh, and we're really used to seeing Rafflecopter roaming around the map all the time, but this time, Zenith is there to counter that gank again. So, of course, another kill goes over the way of large skill gap, and that's going to enable them to start that grubs. And I want to remind everyone, we are playing on the new patch. This is the only set of grubs that's going to spawn for the whole game.
Yep, and while we were in replay there, large skill gap actually did get the dragon, by the way. So they are actually looking incredibly advantaged here in this early game. They got that, they're a 3-to-1 kill lead. they have that means that they get the Feet of Warfare as a, oh, well, we're talking about this, but Banwas might be in a
Yeah,
little trouble
Rafflecopter
here.
coming in. It doesn't even need to get there. A solo kill for Oberon, picking it up against Banwas.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking a lot of, we're talking, singing the praises of large skill gap, and unfortunately, Banwas kind of throwing one back there. That is going to be a nice, advantage there for Oberon, where not only does he get the, get the kill, get the 300 gold there, gets to shove this entire wave in and deny what's probably going to end up being like a wave and a half, maybe 2 waves from Banwas, as is going to use the Valkyrie
Oh,
to.
the tower?
He's trying to get
no
the solo
flash?
kill. He did get the barrier, so at the end of the day, you take what you can get out of it. As Zenith trying to be a little bit aggressive there on the Alistar.
Yeah, Oberon trying to use the Valkyrie to clear the wave there. A bit of a dangerous one when the enemy support's coming back in, but
It's called min-maxing.
yeah, we're
that's right.
min-maxing as you like to see that, but that actually, because of that, now we're actually going to be in a position where because of this bad base from Oberon, he's now going to lose another wave, and so that's actually ends up being not nearly as bad for Banwas as I think it could have been after he got kind of 1v1 killed in the bot lane there. Something I do want to note about the top lane gank that we saw earlier with Rafflecopter is, like, I think that gank works on a lot of top laners, but unfortunately with Poppy, you actually generally don't want to be behind her. And so that was kind of, it just felt like it was, yeah, I'm Bard, I'm going to autopilot go behind the enemy, not thinking about, hey, this is a Poppy who is going to just E you and is going to be very happy that you just put yourself behind her. As we're seeing a Bardol come out.
Yeah, Bardol comes on to Banwas. He's going to get CC'd, getting down to taking to about half health, but he is going to live, and not enough damage quite coming through. They did burn the barrier, however, so that is one summoner spell down. We see the rest of the team kind of roaming here. I don't think we're going to have anything happen out of here. It's just Vision's going to clear and back off.
Ooh, big chunk there onto Squish under tower, and he is in a lot of danger.
Yeah, that is a low HP Poppy, and the Jarvan Hax Defender here is also being applied some pressure on because they know that Palifa is on that Ahri in the mid lane trying to get that prio, pushing that wave. It is going to crash into that mid lane. Of course, the Poppy, meanwhile, in the top lane, will also have to recall, might even have to TP back in, but no, it doesn't seem like it's off cooldown at the moment. So that's going to be a Poppy walking back, and that Camille CS advantage that you talked about earlier, Nick, is starting to snowball a little bit. Earlier it was even, now it's about 20 CS ahead.
Yeah, I'll also note that this is not the tank Poppy, this is the Sundered Sky Poppy coming out here, which is pretty standard these days, but it is a bit of a riskier build, right? Like, when you are falling behind in the 1v1, the item that you're building does not help you hold the Camille nearly as well as something like, in the olden days, like a Sunfire is. We're seeing a little bit of trade come out here as Rafflecopter might choose to go for this, but doesn't know that
No
Hax
vision.
Defender is
The
there.
stun
Oh, the
against
damage.
wall and the damage coming out. Khalifa's going to get taken down. But meanwhile, Phobos is stuck into Jarvan, but he's going to take the Bard portal.
Oh.
I
From-
love Bard, man.
Wow, what a great play there from Rafflecopter, and that stun against the wall, so clean.
Yeah, we are seeing the power of the Bard here. You can just magical journey out of these awkward situations, and then that immobile Anivia becomes very mobile.
Oh,
and of
meanwhile,
course,
the
of course he's
initiation
alone.
from Zenith, he's going to try. Oh, not enough to get the ace in the hole from Kaelin, but taken pretty low, and I think just going to back out of here.
Yeah. We did see one sort of unfortunate roam from the Bard, but the rest of them have looked pretty good. That one I think was excellent, right? Despite the enemy jungler being there already, just support plus mid actually just essentially 2v2 killed mid plus jungle. And that's a huge win for you, right? Like, your jungler got to keep hitting camps, which is probably a necessity because Triptoid is falling further and further behind as Hax Defender keeps finding ways to sneak in, get camps, get tempo advantages on Triptoid. And so having your support roam up and generate some free tempo for you by delaying the enemy, wasting the enemy jungler's time is really awesome for Triptoid.
Well, we're getting a little bit of a fight here. The initiation from Zenith and the Jarvan follow-up. Triptoid still has a good chunk of health, though, so in the end, looks like they might just back out. They're still trying to fight this, positioning around the dragon here. Something to note, Oberon is about half health if they do take this fight.
Yeah, both teams seem eager to be contesting Vision around that next dragon that has just spawned here. It is a Hextech dragon coming over here, but Hax Defender, it seems like large scale gap are starting that dragon. We might see a fight break out here. Triptoid does not seem like he wants to give that away.
We have the TP coming in bottom from Camille, the initiation from Zenith. The damage is coming through. They're trying to turn it back onto Hax Defender, but he's going to be able to get taken out. So far, no kills have come through. Zenith
Oh, the
taking
charm.
super low. The charm's going to come through, and a kill coming out from Palifa onto Triptoid. Trying to follow up. Oh, the double through the portal, but they're going right into Dragon Pit. The initiation from Jarvan going to send Palifa into egg form. Ace in the hole blocked by Wordy, and a great block there. Still have Rafflecopter on the side. If Rammus 310 want to try anything, and Large Skill Gap are still committed to getting this dragon.
Yeah, it's a 4v4 coming out here, but then they might still engage with a Cataclysm.
The flash charm from Philippa picking up the kill as the stun follows up on the Wordy. Is they're going to back out? The dragon is half health. Both teams are pretty low now. Banwas is full health though, so it's going to be on him as Oberon gets taken down to 100 health. The Cataclysm from Jarvan following up, trying to do what he can, but nothing's going to come out of it. And in the end, the dragon is taken by Large Skill Gap.
Yeah, both teams playing on a razor's edge, on a nice edge here. And of course, with the 5v5 turned into a 4v4, turned into a 3v3, and at the end, Large Skill Gap wins the Hunger Games.
Yeah, I think ultimately this is just a lot of story about, a lot about the setup for that fight. Ultimately, I think you could say a lot of things as we're seeing a little bit of a, short.
Just a quick hello.
Just a quick headbutt pulverized under tower is. Oh, Fofox coming in here. Never mind. Let's not even talk about the dragon. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, the ult's going to come through. The damage is coming out from Anivia. I don't think it's enough. The follow-up from Camille off of the Anivia wall. The ult's coming through. Banwas going to get taken to half health, but Zenith is going to be the one to tank it in the end, and another kill coming over for Triptoid.
Oh, that's a beautiful roam from Fofox. Fofox has been everywhere this game. It feels like that Anivia has always had the roam advantage onto Ahri, and still keeping up in CS and still keeping that tower alive in that mid lane.
Yeah, I'll note here, while Large Skill Gap has the objective advantage in basically every way, the two dragons, let's not even talk about that. So I think a lot of this is, look at where these TPs come in. The Camille is TPing really far away from the fight, all the way down here on the bot side, whereas Squish gets a TP very close to the fight. Does have to flash through the Anivia wall here in a second, to get into the fight, but Squish just ends up being in the fight, like even earlier than Wordy, even though we're seeing another little bit of fighting going on here as Hackspeeder is in a rough spot. Maybe he might make it out.
Oh, and it doesn't even matter. Wordy picking up a kill for himself. Squish throwing the ultimate,
Bard.
but the ultimate from Bard. This is going to be a tough situation for Squish. He's going to try to escape. He does have the team pretty close. A charm is going to land on the Rafflecopter, but they are able to get the initiation onto Squish. A great wall from Fofox picking up a kill.
Yeah.
I want to note that was not just the wall. That was the wall plus Bard stun combo.
That's right.
Getting
That's
the
right.
stun on the Anivia wall. I don't even know if I don't know if we've actually seen that. I don't recall if they played the Anivia Bard previously, but really cool. I think it's awesome to see stuff like that, like Poppy Anivia type things.
And that's exactly the fun that we expect to see from Bard. I feel like Rafflecopter has been giving us a treat in this game one. I feel like every play has Rafflecopter involved in one way or another. Is included in 7 out of 8 kills that have happened so far. The only kill he wasn't there for was the one on the top lane. So, of course, 3-2-4, really fun performance that we're seeing so far, translating only into 1,000 gold.
Yeah, Oberon caught down here by himself. The ace in the hole is going to come out. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of this one. Philippa trying to do the damage, although he's getting taken pretty low. It does not matter, though. They are still picking up the kill, but, man, that was kind of close.
That was one missed rocket away from actually trading a kill there, which would have been crazy. As we're seeing, where do I try to get out here? No flash is going to be going down for sure.
Yeah, what a great Cataclysm there from Haxdefender, as Zenith is going to get taken pretty low, and he's also going to fall another kill for Triptoid. Man, kills on top and bottom. We're getting kills all over the place.
I feel like the game's just begun. I feel like the game's just started. Both teams, we had a slow start. Both teams were very, very mechanical, very methodical with their map strategy, but now kills in the top lane, kills in the bot lane. Action all around, Nick.
Yeah, I think what we want to be looking at here, taking a look at these gold differentials, is look how far ahead Wordy is. He is so big. He is up about almost 1,500 gold on the Poppy here as the Camille. That is so scary because you don't have good tools to deal with this Camille in a side lane. The tools that you have are just sending a lot of people. That's your tool. And that is going to be a tough way of making this game work, where your Poppy is not going to be able to hold this Camille. This is a favorable matchup for the Poppy, but you do need that early lead. And so when Squish gave up his early lead in order to TP down to bot lane, that was a costly play. Not to say it was wrong, but it was just, we are seeing the results of that now, and that might be something that Rammus 310 is going to play around in the future.
Yeah, and I think the saving grace, at least for Large Skill Gap, is that the Ahri does have a gold advantage, and same with the Kaylin here, Banwas. So even though that Camille is going to be a problem and is going to be a menace, we still do have win conditions that are still relevant here for Large Skill Gap to look at.
Yeah, we do have this dragon spawning, so we could see another team fight coming up here. And I love the idea that we bring up, you know, not only is Fofox so good at this Nivea, but like we brought up, it's the Bard follow-up with the Q, but we also have Camille. Camille can use the walls to jump off to get initiation.
no, not
Oberon in a
again.
tough spot. The charm is not going to land, but the W is used. About going to escape. A nice flash Cataclysm to follow. Oberon is going to get taken down in a great follow-up from Hax Defender, but meanwhile, he's in a bit of a tough place. Double TP coming down from the side of Rammus 310 as they're going to pick up the follow-up kill on Hax Defender, and they're not done. They want more. A stun against the wall. They're still trying to chase. It is a 3v3 right now if Khalifa shows up. The charm does not land, though, however. Oh, what a great flash from Squish to dodge the stun. Meanwhile, he's stunned back into the wall. A WQ from Zenith onto Wordy, going to get taken solo to the Ignite, but it does not matter. He picks up the skill on Squish himself. Meanwhile, a killing spree from Khalifa. Doesn't even need his ult. Doesn't even need Ignite.
This Camille is just too big. Wordy is so massive. He's been so big for Rammus 310, and I like they put the effort, the investment into getting him ahead, and it has really paid out for sure.
Yeah.
They are going to not take this dragon. They have no Triptoid, and they don't have a lot of DPS, so this dragon is not going to go down. I will note, this game is still crazy close.
Yeah.
Large Skill Gap has a massive advantage in the objective department. They've got the 2 dragons and the grubs. The small gold lead here for Rammus 310, though, of currently about 1,000 gold. Probably going to be a little bit more if they're able to pick up this turret. No, this turret's way too high HP to get this here. But I expect we're going to be seeing another fight over this dragon most likely, as I think both teams are going to basically reset and say, all right, we've got no sums anymore. Right, everybody just blew their flashes except for the Anivia. Yeah, let's fight again.
Yeah, and you'd like to believe with the strength of this Camille that Rammus 310 would like to be contesting this dragon. You don't want to give that soul point and that win condition over the large scale gap. Herald's fall mid.
And the initiation from Zenith, the 3-man Cataclysm coming out from Hax Defender, but meanwhile, his team is the one that looks like they're getting taken low. But here's the follow-up from Khalifa. He's going to pick up one for himself. The members of Rammus 310 are falling. Khalifa, a double kill. He still has 3 ultimate charges, but I don't know if he's going to do anything about it. But I think this could be a dragon for large skill gap. But meanwhile, Rammus 310 are opting to just push down mid.
Oh, they are pushing down mid. That Herald will spawn, but the Poppy stun.
Yeah, the great stun into the wall. Khalifa on the backline trying to fight Fofox, but he doesn't have his ultimate charges anymore. We have 2 separate fights going on right now. LSG is getting taken so low, they're just going to back out. But meanwhile, Hax Defender picked himself up a dragon, and it looks like he might pick himself up a kill here. We got the one-on-one versus Triptoid. Oh, he's not going to be able to land it, and I believe Hax Defender is in the end. The smite. Wait, and he gets it with the Q, finishes it off, and the dragon.
Yeah, Hax Defender will be able to secure the dragon, get himself a dragon, get himself a Xin Zhao. You know, he's doing well. He's doing well here. We also talk a lot. We talked a bit about the Anivia Bard combo. We didn't talk enough about the Jarvan Poppy combo. You know, Jarvan creates the wall, Poppy stuns against the wall. So I guess that's the name of the game here today.
That's right.
Who can create terrain that we can stun people against.
Yeah, we've got a surprising amount of both player-created terrain in this game, as well as abilities that interact with terrain. Way more than normal in this game. Ultimately, I think that was a really nice opener by LSG to get those 2 kills onto the bot lane of Rammus 310. And then really nice response, I think, by Rammus 310 to then say, okay, you know what, we're gonna drop the Rift Herald in mid lane. We're gonna force up on your mid lane, outer and inner, and we're gonna force you to respond to us. And then Wordy did a nice job of fighting that out as Squish did, pin him into the wall and all that. That was really nice fighting it out. Ultimately, though, Triptoid overstaying, I think probably looking for the steal there on the dragon, and ultimately, I think LSG came out big winners of that, even though they did lose their mid tower and lost a lot of health in the mid inner turret. They're the ones at soul point, right? They have the serious threat here on potentially getting this Ocean Soul on the next dragon spawn in 3 minutes 20 seconds, and they're not even really down a lot of gold to get that, right? They're basically even in gold at this point, and they even have the grubs on top of that if they can get onto any turrets. So really good position here for LSG, but Rammus 310 definitely not out of this yet. They still have the strong split pusher, and I think their team fighting can still be put together here. They definitely can get good fights. They just need to open them a little better than what they had last time, because obviously that last fight opening with the 3-man Cataclysm was just too difficult for them to deal with.
Yeah, I think a lot of these, we're going to see the 1v1 top not leading to much here, I believe. Oh, wow, that's a lot of damage from that. That is a strong Camille up top.
I would like to reiterate that this Camille is really strong. This is a 2-item Camille, and keep in mind, again, this is not the tank Poppy, as we're seeing a nice little chunk here on the
a lot
Hax
of
Defender.
damage.
Done into the wall. Hax Defender is going to be half health as Rafflecopter is just going to tunnel his way out.
Yeah, I mean, both sides of the map, though, Rammus 310 are getting the chunks and getting the favorable map positioning as Rafflecopter's going to interrupt this base again.
We do have a
Sterak's
Tempered
popped.
Fate.
Yeah, here it comes. He does land the Tempered Fate. He is stunned. Let's see the follow-up. The Cataclysm and the Flash out himself. Is it going to be enough, though? The EQ going with the Blast Cone. Going to get himself out of here, but we do have a Poppy TP. We're fighting over nothing right now. We're just fighting for fighting. Let's go. It's Squish. Uh-oh, this might be his life.
The
A great
wall.
wall from Anivia, and that is going to be a kill off the TP as well.
I think it's just like you said here, right? It is fighting over nothing. I think it was like Hack's Defender taking a bit of a greedy recall, gets punished for it, and that turns into a fight that leads to Squish's life being gone.
Yeah, I think both teams were maybe considering the Otacon here. That is actually up on the bot side here. I'm not sure. Yeah, we've actually aggroed it here. Where does aggroed it? But I think they're just going to be going for the bot turret, which is very, very low. Very easy for Wordy to take this out. I'm actually kind of surprised that Wordy went for the early TP there. I think from his perspective, you're thinking, okay, I'm the strong Camille. If this Poppy wants to TP away to save the base from Hack's Defender, I personally would have been cool with that, and I would have just said, all right, I'll take the tower, and I'll keep even getting stronger. I think it ended up working out okay. Securing that kill on Squish is nice. Very nice wall from Fofox to make sure that was there. But both top laners no longer have TP, which does mean that there's not going to be a whole lot of split pushing going on before this next dragon comes up in about a minute. And since the dragon is coming up on, obviously, bot side, since that's where the dragons spawn, and the Otacon is also bot side, there's a lot to be gained from winning the next fight. I think this next fight is probably going to be a game changer. It's probably going to decide at least who's getting a massive advantage at the very least, because if LSG win, even if they only got the soul, that would be a huge advantage. If they get the Otacon too, that's massive. That's potentially game ending there. As we're seeing Rafflecopter just going straight up in here on mid lane.
Banwas does flash the Tempered Fate, but the follow-up on the Fofa, he is going to get sent into his passive. They're going to try to take him down. We have Zenith on the backline, just zoning the backline of Rammus. They're not able to get anything in there. He's so tanky right now. He's tanking turret shot after turret shot. A double kill for Banwas, and Nick said this could turn into a dragon here.
Yeah, and that was an attempted punish coming in here from Rammus 310. They really tried to get that Caitlyn before the dragon comes up, but in fact, they lose 2 members. They're going to lose a tower in the mid lane, and that's going to convert into a soul over here. 25 seconds for that Anivia. TP is available, but dragon won't be.
It could even potentially be the Otacon too. And like I was saying earlier, it's LSG, by the way, just swung into the gold lead here. Still very, very minor at this point. Like the gold lead's really not meaningful currently. But if they get this dragon, and they obviously have favorable positioning on the Otacon, even with the TP from Fofox potentially coming in as he spawns, this is just such a massive set of advantages going over. It looks like they are going to avoid the Otacon. They're going to say they don't want to take the risk of starting it, and Wordy is just going to push in this top lane. But now with the Ocean Soul on LSG, these fights were already, there were a lot of really close fights this game. They're not going to be close with the Ocean Soul anymore, because it's not like Rammus 310 has a lot of tools to one-shot someone instantly before their Ocean Soul gets value. There's a lot of tanky people here. The Alistar, the Poppy, and the Jarvan. Even the Ahri to some degree, right? This is a Merc Treads Ahri with a Liandry's. Can get a lot of value from this Ocean Soul because you're not getting one-shot by champions like the Camille or the Anivia or even the Corki, right? And so this Ocean Soul is going to be really strong here. And I think this is just going to put LSG into a great position to set up around the Baron or the Otacon, whichever they prefer. Looks currently like they're going to be setting up around the Baron as Hack's Defender is hitting down this crab.
Yeah, I feel like for a lot of these team fights for Rammus 310, it really has to be the Tempered Fate from the Barda initiation. I feel like whenever it has landed, generally it has led to a one-team fight. But the opposite then, when it misses, is that it's not very successful, as we saw the flash from Banwas last time.
Oh, that's going to be an Ahri ult.
Oh, he's
probably going to have
to
to burn the ult there. Oh, no.
Oh, see you later.
Respected. No.
Oh,
They respect the teammates' collapse.
Anivia actually aggroing the Baron there was a nice look.
Yeah.
Actually got about half of Polifa's health there just by aggroing Baron. Of course, the Ocean Soul means that if Polifa can get in and hit some people with some spells here, the base is canceled. That could be nice. You get a little tempo advantage here with Polifa basing. Even if Polifa TPs back onto the map, you do have a little bit of a tempo lead here for Rammus 310, but doesn't look like they're going to be doing anything with that, as I guess we're just kind of sitting around waiting for maybe the next dragon. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. You brought up before that LSG have this soul, right? They have this lead now, but instead of trying to turn that into an Otacon, they're like, we're all in on Baron. We're gonna get a vision around Baron. We're gonna secure it. It doesn't even seem like they're concerned about the Otacon at all. As we see the initiation on the Rafflecopter, he is gonna tunnel his way out of there though, no problem.
Yeah, we are going to see some good vision coming out. Some deep wards were placed earlier by Rammus 310 into that red side jungle, allows them to get a recall off and be able to come back and contest some of those the deep vision attempts that are coming in here from large scale gap. Won't be successful in placing some of that deep vision, but will at least have some defensive lines of vision here on that Baron. We'll at least know if it's being started or not, but some of that other info going into the enemy jungle won't be there as much. No objectives currently on the map that either team seemingly want to commit to.
Yeah, we do have both TPs up for top and mid on both sides right now, so whatever team fight happens will definitely be an explosive one with everybody showing up as we just have the top laners split pushing bottom and the rest of the team kind of clearing that vision around Baron.
Instantly scryed out. They did start the Baron, I think, as more of an exploratory one. The Caitlyn, of course, can hit it over the wall, very, very low risk. But Hex Defender is going to drop that as the second Scryer is burned, and we're seeing a little bit of an altercation going on here.
Yeah, Zenith going in a little bit early. Nobody's there. It does not quite matter. The wall is preventing him from leaving, but Rafflecopter gets taken down to a quarter health. The ultimate from Bard going to keep him alive, though. Is it going to be enough? It is not. A dominating Polifa with 3 ult stacks remaining. The flash from Hex Defender getting the Cataclysm coming out, but the members of the team are falling. Albron getting taken so low, so is Wardy. A killing spree for Banwas as Wardy's going to be able to kill or escape, and a double kill, and this will most likely be a Baron for LSG.
And we really see in that team fight how large skill gaps comp really comes online. The Cataclysm comes in, Poppy stuns in the wall, Camille is TPing in, the Alistar is just playing Disruption, not letting Wordy get away with any of the engages and any of the damage he wants to put down. Of course, the Camille ult not even used in the last fight because no opportunity to use it. It was really focused down, and now Fofox seemingly out of position. Has TP flash?
Anivia does not have, no ultimate from Ahri, so we'll see how long Fofox is able to keep this one alive. He's gonna W him into the wall. I think this one is inevitable, but he's gonna keep running. He does technically have the passive. Zenith is gonna use the flash to try to secure it as he's still going, but it does not matter. He's stuck in the wall. Passive and all gonna get taken down.
And that could translate easily into an Otacon. It is 5v4 for the next 50 seconds. Hex Defender going towards that Otacon. Might need some more vision down before they have the confidence to do it, but no. Poppy controlling the wave in the mid lane. We have controlled the wave in the bot lane. We really might see a collapse on that objective now.
Yeah, with the Baron, I don't really expect there to even be any semblance of a contest here from Rammus 310. I think they're just going to say, hey, you know what, that's theirs. I think from the Rammus 310 perspective, I think you're looking at this game and you know you're pretty far behind at this point, and you're looking at this and you're saying, we need to play for like an Elder Steal or something, like an Elder Flip, an Elder Steal, something along those lines is the kind of advantage that you would need, the kind of turnaround you would need. That or you somehow get like a crazy pick onto Polifa or maybe Hex Defender or something. It's like, it's not easy though, right? I think it's very, very difficult to imagine a scenario where LSG actually gets picked off. Like, they have a very solid comp for holding these up, especially with the Ocean Soul. They are going to have a really big struggle here, I think, getting anything positive going for Rammus 310.
Oh, the Tethered Fate gonna try to keep Triptoid alive. He's gonna get taken really low. Zenith as well. The two-man Cataclysm from Hex Defender gonna force the flash from Triptoid as Rafflecopter is going to protect him. However, this is going to still be an inhib, and they have Ocean Soul, so it's not taking a lot of damage on this. Wordy taking the tower shot's gonna take it himself, and that is an objective bounty as well. 850 gold for that turret. So, you know, talking about comeback win conditions, that might be one.
Yeah,
nice little move around the vision there, not seeing as Rafflecopter just gets exploded.
Yeah, and that really is the power of that Caitlyn, is like once you get that trap down, once you have the headshot, once you crit, you can really take that Bard from 100 to 0. Of course, consolidation prize coming in here for Rammus 310. Objective bounties did get buffed somewhat recently, so you know, some much needed gold going that way. The gold lead actually isn't that big when you look at it, but there is still a lot of gold value that comes in here with 4 dragons, with a soul, and now it's a 5v4. We're looking at Elder.
LSG starting this Elder, but we have Polifa on the back line trying to kill Fofox. A dominating Banwas picking up the kill. Polifa is still wrecking havoc on the back line of Rammus 310. He is still in there. The follow-up from Zenith is going to secure the kill. This is going to be Elder, and this could be game.
Oh, that could really be gamey here. The Elder Dragon, 22-14 in terms of kills, going over to a large skill gap. The TP coming in from the Poppy. They're really looking to end the game here.
Yeah, the Ahri also does have TP. They might commit, and they do as well. They have all members of the team here trying to get this push. This is the final stand for Rammus 310.
The Baron buff did expire, but I don't think that's going to mean much up against the Elder and the overwhelming advantage that LSG has here. I think it's just going to be both turrets going down. We're going to see the Nexus follow, and honestly, really nicely played. I think LSG had a game plan. They came in, they stuck to it. They played around these dragons really, really well, and I think ultimately this just comes down to Rammus 310 just couldn't hold up in the objective fights, and that LSG was just able to take it just purely off of, hey, we're going to start this dragon, we're going to make you come to us, and we're going to just outfight you.
Yeah, I also want to give a lot of credit to Polifa. I feel like in a lot of those team fights, I mean, it felt like he was constantly resetting his ultimate. I feel like every time I looked at him, he had 3 charges ready to go. And so a lot of credit to him. He got that Ahri, and he made it a lot of value, especially out of the early game when they originally got killed and were like, uh-oh, this could be a good situation. I mean, he really turned it around, and large skill gap as a whole definitely clutched it up.
Yeah, large skill gap. I mean, it was a really close game until it wasn't, right? It was both teams super even in gold. Okay, there might be a bit of an advantage top lane. There might be a bit of advantage on the other side of the bot lane, where we're still being very careful. But then towards the mid game, we see that explosive fight. And it was actually the fight that you spoke about, Nick, earlier around that dragon. We thought the fight will break out for that soul, but actually it was a tempered fate from Bard turning into a Kaelin flash, turning into a re-engage or a counter-engage coming in from large scale gap, which essentially put the nail in the coffin.
Yep, I think lots of stuff we could talk about. I think each individual dragon fight had a lot of interesting stuff in there, but ultimately we're looking to move on here, and I think we're going to be throwing it off. All right.
Well, welcome back, Riot Rumble, League of Legends fans. We're going to be getting into game number 2 here, but Large Skill Gap took game number 1 in quite an exciting game. So looking ahead to game number 2, what are your guys' thoughts here? What are some adjustments that maybe Rammus 310 could make to take back game number 2?
Yeah, so I want to make a couple quick notes here. Number one, we're going to see the same sides. Large Skill Gap is going to be on red side again. They actually chose that due to alternating side selection. That's actually their choice here. And I think the big picks we probably want to be looking at are the Ahri and the Camille, one for each side. I think the Ahri for Palifa was incredible in this game. He was moving around the map. Yes, he did get a very successful early kill that was kind of like for free. Any champion could have picked that up where Rafflecopter basically tunneled into him, at low HP and just said like, here I am, just take the kill. So that's a big one. Like obviously, did get some early advantages that could have picked up on any other champion. But I think that is worth talking about. Like, do we want to, will Rammus 310 be taking that out? Like, I think it's worth a serious discussion. Do they even maybe want to first pick it? Something we haven't seen Fofox playing, but it's a champion that we do expect most mid laners have some level of competency on. So that's a possibility. On the other side, the Camille first pick actually I thought looked quite good for Rammus 310.
Yeah, I think a lot of questions to ask here around whether that Camille gets left open again, or whether Rammus 310 want to be the ones to also first pick the Camille again in this game, because it did seem really promising, but at the end of the day, we didn't see the result that Rammus 310 might have wanted. Same question for me goes to the Anivia. I thought the Anivia Fofox was really a menace on that Anivia in the early mid game, but then when it came to the late game team fights, we didn't see as much of that value because of different circumstances. So mid lane matchup, I think a lot of eyes on here as we go into that game 2 draft.
Yep, we are seeing that Vel'Koz ban, as we do against Palifa in every single game. And the Karthus ban, again, I think makes a lot of sense. That is something that Aubrun has just been so successful on. And so far, we're seeing matched bans to the first game, as the Zac is going to get banned.
Pyke.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the Pyke I would expect. And honestly, I would kind of expect a Camille first pick as well.
Run it back.
We're just going to run, I think, a lot of the first part of this draft back. I honestly would expect the first 3 picks for both teams are probably going to be identical to the first draft, and we might see some divergence in the bans for the second rotation.
Yeah, of course, Caitlyn is another one of those comfort champions for Large Scale Gap. Could this be Rammus 310's opportunity to take away that Caitlyn? It really feels like that bot lane might be the one area where you might look to do things a little bit differently with that Corki Bard. Of course, Bard was also also a menace around that map, really, with those Souls boots rush. But of course, this time, the Tristana is actually going to be priority picked here from Rammus 310.
Yeah, last time they did not pick ADC in first rotation at all, so Large Skill Gap did ban that Tristana before they got to the second rotation. So this time they're saying, nope, we're not going to risk it. We're just going to take it right now and just make sure that our ADC is prepared.
Yeah, I think the Tristana is something that has been effective for Aubrun. I will say it is honestly in some ways similar to the Corki, but maybe even more extreme. It's a risky pick where the Tristana really does need to jump in to be effective again in a lot of these matchups. And the Caitlyn, which I expect to get locked in here for Banwaz, is a little bit scary in that the Caitlyn significantly outranges the Tristana and can space her pretty effectively. If you net at the same time that Tristana starts jumping you, you almost always are going to win that trade. And so that is kind of scary. I do want to note here, this Neeko for Rafflecopter, I think is a scary pick, as we're actually going to see the Caitlyn is not going to get picked. We're actually going to go for the Alistar here to make sure that there is a strong peeling support to be able to peel off the Tristana, the Camille, or the Neeko. It is really good here, but it does come at the cost, as I would 100% expect that we're going to see a Caitlyn ban here from Rammus 310.
Yeah, Caitlyn really a comfort champion for Large Skill Gap, and it will get taken away here. I really like that Alistar pick because, as you said, it's good versus these 3 champions that we have here, especially that Neeko, which we know that Rafflecopter, once you take away the Pyke, then we usually default into the Neeko or the Bard. Neeko was banned, I believe, last game too.
Yes.
So now that the Neeko is open, it is picked. Alistar has a lot of ways to deal with it, to kind of knock that Neeko away, especially when that ultimate is still blooming. But still, you're still going to be leaving a Camille that's not being peeled from. You're still being a Tristana that's going to be jumping on your face. So execution really going to be the name of the game here.
Yeah, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on the ADC pick from the LSG side. I mean, looked like they had the Caitlyn ban and the Varus ban. I mean, what are we looking at some possible options here for an ADC for large skill gap?
So I personally actually really liked Banwaz's Xayah. He only played it in one game, or maybe 2 games, I don't recall. But I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really solid, and I was really surprised that he kept defaulting to Caitlyn over and over, because to me, when I saw his Xayah, I was like, well, this actually looks even better to me than the Caitlyn. But he repeatedly kept defaulting that. Another interesting thing here, by the way, is there was actually another opportunity here to ban out the Anivia, and LSG just chose not to. They said, no, we actually would rather face your Anivia than your Azir. Which is a definitely big departure from the norm for Fofox. And the Rammus for Rammus 310. We haven't seen it yet, but here it is.
Rammus 310 are really spoiling us today. They picked Bard and Anivia, now they're picking Rammus with the Nico support. And it's actually really interesting too, because the 2 primary junglers we've seen Rammus 310 play we've seen Triptoy play as part of Rammus 310 has been that Pantheon and that Xin Zhao. That's those 2 champions have really been picked really heavily prioritized. So in large skill gap's case, they picked the Pantheon, they banned it in. Now you're forced onto something that might be a little less comfort, but that's a Rammus. That's an iconic Rammus. The team is called Rammus 310.
Yeah, I will say, the Rammus 310 is not real. There's no chance that champion is clearing by 310. It is not going to happen. So.
Oh, I thought it was like gospel, like Rammus 310.
No, I'm sorry. That is a claim made by Wordy that he had a Rammus 310 clear, which was clearly a lie. So then the thing I will note is that even though I think Rammus is probably a good pick here, it is going to struggle to keep up in farm. It is a champion that does not clear well. He's really only about ganking, does not clear well, does not do well at objectives. And we're just going to be getting quickly into game here as hopefully we'll be able to see some fun Rammus gameplay.
Yeah, once again, loading into game number 2. Chat, let us know again who you think's going to win. Put LSG in chat for large skill gap. Put OK in chat for Rammus 310 if you think the Rammus is going to pull this out. And I actually think, looking at the Rammus, I feel like the comp he's against is not a very easy comp to play Rammus into. I mean, you got Xayah, who's obviously the queen of disengage, Ahri, who's got mobility, Alistar, who can knock you away. I feel like Rammus might have a little bit of a tough time kind of navigating against this team comp.
Yeah, it really feels like a high-value Xayah pick here, into Camille, into Rammus, into even the Trist and the Nico. That Xayah, and as you mentioned, Nick, it really did look really good the one time they did play it. So Banwaz taken off comfort, but Xayah feels pretty comfortable to me in this game.
Yeah, I think this looks like a pretty fine Xayah angle. And overall, as looking at the Rammus here, I look at the Rammus, in this game, and I say, hey, you're pretty happy to see a Poppy. You're fine with the Pantheon. Even the Xayah, I think, is pretty fine, and the Alistar's a little, moderately annoying, but the Alistar can't headbutt everyone, right? You've got 4 champions in your team that Alistar wants to headbutt. You can't get everyone. You're probably not doing it to the Rammus a lot of the time. I think the main things I'm sad about as the Rammus are okay, they have an Ahri who's going to be going probably Malignance Liandry's just like last game. That is a little bit better, I think, than the average, a lot of mages. Plus the true damage on the backside of Q. You might be a little bit sad about the whole situation being up against Ahri in that case. And, of course, the Xayah with Cleanse here, I want to note, to be able to cleanse that taunt. As we're seeing, a late invade coming in here from Hax Defender. Very dishonorable.
Yeah, Triptoy doesn't know this is coming. He's in
no.
the pit on the red buff. They
no.
could be around here.
We know.
And he's in the pit. The knockup coming from Triptoy. The stun. He might flash. He does flash over the wall. And it looks like he is going to get out. So no first blood. But Hax Defender is going to take this red buff away.
Yeah, I think Triptoid will be happy to at least survive that late invade. Really smart to go for that late invade. We do know Rammus has a pretty slow early clear and does not have a lot of tools to really deal with that late invade that comes through. We are, of course, going to see Triptoid try and get that red side of the jungle coming in here from large skill gap.
Guys, I think that invade's going to make the 310 Rammus clear a little bit tougher here.
Severely hurts the chances of a 310 full clear, yes.
Yeah, maybe he'll be done with 3 camps by 310, maybe in this one as
Oh my gosh.
Hackspender is going for a level 2 mid trade as the Rammus is coming back from Triptoid here.
Yeah,
Let's
he's
go.
still coming in. He's speeding in, and he's going to go out. I mean, what? We are 2.5 minutes in, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 flashes burned already. So action all over the place. And yeah, that Rammus don't care. Triptoid's like, you can take all the camps you want. I'm coming to gank anyway.
We are very rapidly approaching that 310 mark, though, and of course, that's going to be very important to track whether that Rammus is able to achieve 3 camps by 3 minutes, 10 seconds,
I
live up to the name.
actually-
That is their win condition.
I actually don't even think he's going to be done with 3 camps by 310 at this point.
I don't
On this
either.
pacing, I don't think that's going to be the case. He's barely
Yeah,
going to finish with this,
15.
and in 15 seconds, I'm not even sure he's going to be done with
Come
this.
on, Triptoid. You got it. Step it up. No,
Uh,
this is the
either.
most. This is the most tense Rammus Gromp clear I've seen in my life.
Oh.
5 seconds.
It's going to be close. Oh, the damage coming out.
Cleanse.
How's the Rammus though?
And a
It's
great
310.
knockaway. And Meowth's going to be able to live. Did Rammus get it?
No.
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 Oh, no.
Rammus 320. Name change coming.
Yeah, but maybe we talk about the other win conditions. Okay, win condition 1, kind of out the window.
Yeah,
a little
so
bit more about what else they can do here.
I actually like one thing that Nick brought up in the pregame at Champ Select is this Rafflecopter Nico. You know, they opted to not do the Bard. Nico already paying dividends here. Look at the damage that's coming out in the Zenith. It forced Banwas to back, and so clearly this Nico pick. I mean, look, Tristana up 21-6 in the ADC role already. I mean, quite a big difference.
Yeah, this is a monstrous lead in the bot lane, I will say. One thing about the Nico is it's not exactly the best scaling pick, as we're seeing the Rammus. I love this Rammus skin. So seeing the Rammus go for this bot crab looks like is going to be having a fine. Oh no, is going
Oh,
to
he's
get
in the
collapsed
bush.
on.
No.
No flash
The
as well.
WQ combo, he's stacking the stun, he stuns the Rammus with no flash. The
Oh.
first blood from Hack's Defender, and LSG's on the board.
That is so cool. He just throws the spear. He's like taking crab, throws the spear, gets the execute, gets the kill, continues taking the crab, refuses to elaborate further.
Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be tough for the Rammus. I actually think we're seeing the Bookbox knows that Hackspender's here. Both junglers are actually pretty behind, by the way. Like both are definitely behind where they would like to be at this point in terms of farm. Yeah, a little bit of an altercation here as there's
no
no
flash.
flash.
The root from Rafflecopter, they're going to get a kill. Oberon picking one up for himself.
Rammus.
It's 1-1. Rammus coming in mid, forces the flash from Polifa. But again, man, Rafflecopter setting up a kill for his team.
The Nico has been really effective. I think so far this Nico has been putting in work as the Tristana has double buffs now,
Yeah,
by
wow.
the way.
Yeah, Oberon, of course, that 20 CS lead that we saw earlier does get closed a little bit as Banwas catches some of that farm that was crashing earlier. Of course, will still be a lead. There is a kill advantage going over to Oberon and a CS advantage now. You know, Rammus 310, the Rammus might not be off to a great start, but the rest of the team looks to be.
Oh, Tristana jumping in. The return here from Zenith going to keep him. The double root from Banwas, but it's not going to lead to much as Zenith's a little bit too low, and they're just going to have to back out.
It was a good trade back from the LSG bot lane, but ultimately, when you start with the Tristana landing 3 autos and a bomb onto one of either one of your champions at this point, it's a lot of damage coming in from this very strong double buff Tristana, and I think it's a tough position to be in as Banwas because you lost both your summoners barely living earlier, and now no matter what you do, the tower
turret
shot.
Oh, and the barrier is going to save his life. But yeah, he did take that tower shot to that point and forced to burn the barrier because of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dragon coming up soon, which means that, you know, that barrier would be really nice to have. But of course, Polifa's level 6.
Yeah, a really nice wall from Fovox here, forcing the Polifa Ari ultimate come out. The Charm's going to follow. That's actually a good amount of return damage. So, oh my goodness, he's going to get taken pretty low. So what looked like just an ult to escape ended up being some pretty good return damage. And meanwhile, this gives LSG a chance to pick up the Dragon.
Yeah, misses some farm there in the mid lane to get that trade damage. I don't know if that was Worth versus pushing the wave here, but however, on the, at least large scale gap here does secure the first Dragon of the game, which was an important win condition for them last game too.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even see them secure the first dragon. They just kind of got both dragons for free as I think Squish is in a lot of trouble here.
Yes.
The Rammus is coming in, and you have no mana anyway. You are dead.
Yeah, he's going to get taken down here. Unfortunately, a little too aggressive. It looked like he also took that turret shot before he even got there. So that's a
trying to
good
crash
maneuver.
that wave, I'm pretty sure, just to make sure that wave isn't frozen on him and in a good position. But of course, immediately punished here by Triptoid, and that's really the power of the Rammus. You can gank from pretty far away compared to other junglers.
And the Charm going to land the flash over over the
no.
wall. Gonna be able. I'll see you later. Not even close.
Yeah, surprising. I'm kind of surprised Tripwood was able to make it out of that, but nice moves. I will say, Wordy was able to hold the freeze there, but because Wordy is actually lacking TP, he's actually going to end up missing out on a lot of this because Squish had TP. The TP advantage for Squish actually results in Squish is not only going to get a plate, but is actually going to be able to deny a lot of farm as Balifa is low mana, getting chunked out by the Nico, but ultimately not going to die. And this is one of the advantages of the Ahri. Previously, we saw the Ahri with no flash being able to ult to get away from the Anivia wall. That was big because if you're most champions in that position, right, imagine you're Vel'Koz. If you're most champions in that position, you get walled behind you with no flash, you're dead to the Rammus gank every single time. Ahri, of course, just gets to press the R button and get out of that one. So a lot of value from that safety. And we're looking at the bot lane. I want to note the advantage for Tristana is pretty big still. But being forced to blow the barrier to and run away from the turret was nice, as there's a collapse coming in here for Rammus 310.
Yeah, Squish gonna get the 2-man ultimate to knock the members of the team away. We have a 2v2 up here top. Hax Defender is gonna get taunted. He's gonna get taken super low. The flash from Wordy to follow up, but he is still alive. Eventually gets taken down. That is also the feat going over from Rammus 310, and they're gonna turn their attention to these grubbies.
Yeah, Triptoid is a level behind, but it really does not feel like it. He burns Flash earlier, but is able to quickly join Wordy here on that pick onto Hax Defender. Hax Defender does have the Pantheon ult, but I don't believe it's going to be up in time, or he's going to be able to arrive in time to help secure at least one of those grubs. So full XP, full grubs advantage going over here, but no, he actually secures, he had a grub secured before the fight. I stand corrected.
Yep, as we're seeing a bit more trading, I want to note that again we're seeing Wordy be the sort of advantage taker from these fights. He's got the 2 kills and already had the cull in inventory there. Is going to be very, very, very happy going into mid game here, hitting once the cull is completed with these 2 kills. Up in gold already, and this is going to be a tough position again for Squish. Was able to work it out last game, not lose too much in the side lane, but I think a lot of that ultimately came down to because LSG was so far ahead in objectives early, they didn't have to worry as much about the split push because they could force Wordy to come to them. The bigger thing here is that the dragon pacing and the objective pacing in general for LSG this game is slightly slower so far. We'll have to see how the second and third dragons go, but if Rammus 310 can pick up like 1 or 2 of these next dragons, that would be really good for them to buy time for Wordy to actually get value out of split pushing. Another thing to note, though, is that Squish is going for the Sunfire build this time, not the more aggressive Sundered Sky build from last time. So it'll be a little easier to just hold the Camille inside lane than last game, despite what looks like so far a similar level of advantage being built by Wordy.
We're going to see, of course, the Rammus continue to clear the jungle here. Game will go back to a state where things are pretty quiet. 3-1 is the kill score. Only 700 gold advantage going over the way of Rammus 310. And of course, a lot of that gold is over to that Camille again. Cole is purchased over here too. So there is going to be some of that scaling. He knows that Squish will want to do a bit of handshaking in this 1v1 lane, and Squish is trying to bait Wordy in because he knows that Hax Defender is here to secure him if any engage does come down.
Yeah, a little bit tough to get this kill here. Hax Defender did stop the back, so they're still trying. Wordy's chasing. The W is going to come from Hax Defender. The ultimate to knock Squish out. Wordy's just going to try to survive, and he is going to be able to get out. But here comes Anivia, and nope, in the end, just going to back out. And so an unsuccessful gank there.
Yeah, and I do want to keep eyes on Anivia because we saw Fofox do a lot of that last game too, which is quickly clear the wave and roam.
And here comes the ultimate from Balifa, and an immediate flash from Fofox. Not going to take the risk.
Yeah, I want to shout out Wordy there on that play. He actually warded the brush. It was just the wrong one. He actually had some idea that, hey, there could be a Pantheon here in the lane. Just predicted which bush he was going to be in incorrectly, and so therefore went for what ended up being a bit of a rough trade there because the Pantheon was there, being forced to ult and still take a bunch of damage on the exit there. So honestly, I think nice moves by Wordy and like has played this game relatively well, and just like I thought he actually played game 1 quite well as well, but ended up just being a little bit unfortunate about which brush you choose to ward, and yeah, ended up taking the worst end of that trade. So we are seeing Some pretty standard itemization coming out here from the players here. The only I would say the most notable thing that's relatively interesting is the Sunfire for the Poppy rather than the Sundered Sky as we saw previously. Pretty much everything else is as expected. We see the Nico going for that Proto Belt. We are seeing the Yuntal come out here on the Tristana, which is my preferred build. Some people do like the Collector, but I do think this is a little better as Squish, or sorry, not Squish, Polipa is maybe a little bit at risk of getting engaged on, but I think Triptoid's a little too deep here.
Yeah, Rammus, Triptoid's going to get a little bit aggressive. The knockoff's going to pick on him, but he's still kind of chilling. They're just trying to do what they can, but I don't think anyone's going to be able to get any kills off this. I mean, that could have looked like it could have potentially been a kill on Triptoid if Zenith had knocked him away, but safe and sorry, and a flash from Hax Defender onto Fofox, getting him brought really half health. Zenith's going in for his engage as well. Fofox is going to be able to live, and so is Triptoid. All members of both teams pretty low here, and in the end, no kills, but LSG might opt to go for this dragon.
Oh, big trade here on top lane as Squish, I think, is going to need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, Ornn does have flash. The ultimate's coming through. The turret shot. He does live with his own shield, and it does not get the kill. And in the end, he's Ornn not burn flash, but no kill on his side.
That was a beautiful buckler coming in here, but Oberon seems to also want to be part of the blood-hungry kills that we are seeing attempted to come down here. Dragon will be started by Hax Defender. TP comes in from Polipa, and it feels like a difficult dragon to contest here from Rammus 310.
Yeah, I think having the Polipa TP come in just to confirm, you know, get that dragon on your side. Again, 2 dragons stacked up already. We saw they got that soul last game, and so putting themselves in a good position to do the same.
Yeah, I still can't believe Squish lived earlier with the Poppy passive coming in here last second to shield him, and that one auto, really sometimes it's just one auto that takes. But of course, Wordy doesn't lose anything off that dive, is able to TP back to lane here. Keep his CS advantage, keep that call stacking. Only 40 CS left to get that gold advantage from it.
Yeah, and this is the full Triforce completion from the Camille, as we're seeing a little bit of a Rammus play coming in here onto Banwaz, who does not have his ult yet, but does have Cleanse.
He does get the taunt, forces out the cleanse. Banwaz does have a bunch of feathers down, so he should be able to escape. The root's going to come through, the follow-up from Pantheon, but that's kind of a tanky Rammus. He's not taking a lot. He's going to ult in. They're trying to get the kills. Hax Defender taking super low. Rafflecopter picks up the kill, and a great turn there for Rammus 310.
And that's the Nico value they've been waiting to see. We said that it had that strength in the early game, and now we're seeing the types of picks that it can create. Hax Defender dead.
The flash from Zenith trying to do, but Oberon gets the jump away. Polipa still trying to move, go in. He misses the charm. The ignite on the Rafflecopter. Rafflecopter's going to burn his Nico off to stay alive. Polipa goes in. He does not take him down, but here is the Tristana trying to get the damage. Banwaz gets a kill, but in the end, all members taken super low. Polipa trying to escape. I don't think he will be able to. Triptoid picking up the kill.
And I thought that large skill gap did a lot to prevent a lot of what Rammus 310 wants to do. The headbutt away on the Tristana, the engage onto the Nico, but a lot of these champions just don't die here, Nick.
Yeah, I think those were so close. The Triumph's actually making a lot of difference here. As you can see, this is an early engage, but a really, really nice buffer by Oberon, saving this play. Look at all these even small mechanical dodge on the charm by Rafflecopter. Rammus 310, then movement out, I think really nice moves by LSG. The ignite coming out onto Rafflecopter. Oberon going for what I think is like kind of a psychotic jump in here, but is barely able to get the kill. The kill gets him a Triumph, which saves him from the auto attack from the Alistar, and then the Rammus gets the Powerball into Polipa, gets the damage down, and this is actually going to be an objective secured finally in the early game for Rammus 310.
Wow, I gotta say, for Triptoid, you know, getting invaded level 1, it wasn't looking pretty good, but he's been involved with 5 out of the 6 kills so far. He seems to be making these plays despite, you know, this uphill battle he's going through.
Yeah, Triptoid from the very first minute of the game, or the second minute, let's say, of the game, Triptoid has been focused down, but the ult comes in on Banwaz.
Yeah, round number 2, the taunt's gonna come through, Zenith's gonna knock him away. I don't know if much is gonna come from this. Banwaz is still coming in, Pantheon's gonna ultimate in, and they're trying to do what they can. Oberon's getting the auto attacks. Triptoid's in a bit of a situation, but he is Rammus, so he could speed himself away, and he's gonna do just that.
The crazy thing is not getting punished for that. They burnt like this Rammus just like magic missiled himself like under your turret, you know, to like taunt your AD carry.
It's a global taunt.
You know, kind of for fun, and we're seeing an altercation in the river here, and Squish might be in a bit of trouble because this Camille has ultimate.
Yeah, Axtec Ultimatum might come through.
Yeah, they're gonna chase here. Nice flash from Squish, and he's gonna save. You know, and it's so funny that we bring it up. I feel like the last 3, maybe 4 team fights for Rammus 310 were like, why on earth are they doing that? But it works out every single time. I mean, they don't get punished for it. They're able to kind of pull out by the skin of their teeth, and they've got themselves a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, that comes with the package of the Rammus Global Taunt. You can really get away with a lot of plays that other champions can't, whether it's engaging from far away or whether it's running away from seemingly dangerous situations. And we're seeing a lot of value come through here, especially with that Thornmail first item rush, a few auto attackers, and a little bit of healing also on the side of Large Scale Gap will make the item worthwhile
big
already.
He does take the turret. The damage is not going to be enough with the ultimate, but a really nice try there from Squish trying to turn it.
Yeah, lacking a little bit of the mana needed. I think if Squish has maybe 100 more mana there, that actually turns into a pretty scary position where maybe you can get the flash, or if maybe if you really outplay, maybe you can even get the kill. Ultimately, though, due to lack of mana, Wordy I think can just be kind of secure and say like, yeah, you can't even cast your ultimate here, so I'm fine. Like you can get 2 turret shots on me, and it's actually totally okay in this situation because you just don't have the mana to run me down. As really tragic base here, by the way, for Wordy on the Camille. He has 1 stack on his call.
Oh, no, I wish you didn't say that.
Yeah.
That is actually very upsetting. 1 stack call respawn. That could have been an extra few hundred gold here going over the side of Camille, especially ahead of that next dragon in 15 seconds. That actually could have been really pivotal. Could have been an extra item component coming into that Camille here. But of course, goal advantage is still a thing. TP comes through. We might see a 5v5 team fight over this next soul point.
Yeah, we're prepping for this one. LSG want this soul point. Kind of a little bit of posturing right now, looking for that pick. We do see Ari on the bottom side getting the charm. The flash on the Fofox, but he's going to flash away as well. Pantheon's going to get stunned, and the Nico ult's going to hold him in place. We got 2 fights happening here at the same time, but Hax Defender's taken super low. Poliva finds the charm, puts Anivia into passive as Oberon is on a killing spree, so it does not matter. Meanwhile, the team fight on the backline, and another kill for Oberon, a double kill. He's jumping in, a triple kill, jumping in, trying to get the quadra. Does he get it? He does it. Oh, and it's actually Rammus who pick it up. However, in the end, this is an ace for Rammus 310, and they get themselves the dragon.
Yeah, an absolute monstrous performance coming in here from Oberon. This is the Tristana dream right here, going in and auto-attacking and resetting and picking up all the kills while building correctly, according to Nick. So, really good fight coming in from Rammus 310. We do see also the Anivia value with the egg, preventing the one other pick that could have happened this fight happening on Rammus 310. Solid gold lead now, 7K. No, wait, 5K going over the way of Rammus 310.
Yeah, the Camille did go down. The shutdown getting picked up by Squish. But aside from that, a 5 for 1. Excellent deal. Let's take a look at this again. So I think the beginning of this is you cannot commit this hard onto the Anivia with passive. You can't actually finish this kill. Even if Polifa commits into the Anivia ult, there's just no way you can finish the Anivia egg in this situation. And then on the other side, you have the Camille going deep and is actually able to trade 1 for 1, right? The Camille is eventually going to go down. You have this really strong Camille who is able to set up, put a lot of damage in AoE with the Ravenous Hydra to get your Tristana to just run them through with the resets.
And it's interesting seeing Hax Defender on that Pantheon. I know last game we saw his ability to get away from certain uncomfortable or awkward situations with that Jarvan with the mobility of the with a flag and drag. But this time around with the Pantheon, it feels like we've seen a few different occasions now where the Pantheon is caught.
Oberon jumping in, a lot of damage coming, not going to be enough. But damn, taking Benoit to almost a quarter of health.
Yeah, I mean this is the power of the Tristana. The Tristana is very scary, as we're seeing a
Nico ultimate trying to follow, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Robocopter does actually end up giving his life for that situation there, but I guess in turn Oberon is able to live. But yeah, nice pick there, and maybe an unfortunate play by Rammus 310 as Wordy going to find his own solo kill onto Squish top.
Yeah, and just as we start to think there's a consolidation prize, the Rammus is going in.
Here he is, the taunts coming through. He has no damage to follow up. The ultimate from Benoit's a great flash.
No.
Here.
Not again.
See
Not
you
again.
Later, not even close.
This champion.
Triptoid throwing them for a little bit of a trip as the initiation into the escape.
I cannot believe Triptoid got away with that. Again, he has been getting away with some illegal maneuvers this game, let's say. I think the big story of that play, like, sure, honestly, the play in mid lane, it was ended up being pretty solid for LSG. But ultimately, when your top laner dies and gives over the turret, solo gold to the Camille, it's looking tough. As the Zenith just trying to make a play, just gets picked off by the collapse from top lane, and it's kind of it kind of turned from it was looking rough, and now it's looking brutal.
Yeah, looking like one by one, LSG just getting taken down, and this just shows how strong the Rammus 310 pick comp is, whether it be a Camille Engage, a Rammus Taunt, an Anivia Q, an Nico E, anything. They have so many options to find these picks, and just one by one, and this is leading to an inhib.
And that's really the power of the Tristana, right? Like once you have a couple of items, once you're really ahead to this extent, you can just push towers. You can just force plays that other champions also couldn't force in the same way, and that's exactly what we're seeing Rammus 310 doing. It seems like a lot of these they're very confident that they can win a lot of these engages, and even though we have a lot of tools to deal with some of these engages that we talked about in draft, we haven't seen a lot of value with the Xayah ult. We haven't seen the most value with the Ahri, except to run away from some of these Anivia and Rammus attempted picks, and really beautiful execution we're seeing here from Rammus 310.
Yeah, I want to call out the draft adjustments here. I think this Tristana Nico bot lane has really proved the value of picking the bot lane early. In the first game, Rammus 310 went for, hey, we're gonna let our bot lane drop in priority. We're gonna get the pick for jungle and for mid lane instead. They chose to prioritize the Tristana Nico, and I think it has worked exactly as they would have hoped in the champ select, saying, hey, we're gonna use the Nico to get the Tristana a lead. Where the Tristana is going to have a lead, and then we're going to just take over the game, right? And that's basically what's happened here, right? The early 2v2 from the Tristana Nico was very successful. They were able to put Benoit a decent bit behind, get the Tristana ahead, and from there, they've been able to transition this into the rest of what this game is doing.
Speedy Rammus coming in, and nice ult from Benoit. He's going to keep alive, but Tristana's getting autos. 3 auto, 4 auto, going to take the down, dominating on this Tristana, and another one to boot, but Wordy's going to get this one. A killing spree from here, and again, the Rammus finding the picks, forcing the Xayah all out, leading to his team getting that kill.
Really difficult to push up this far when you don't have mobility and you don't have 2 towers in the mid lane. Will really allow that Rammus to come in and be able to get picks on you. Fox actually just finished his Roa at 24 minutes in the game, which really shows you just how much they've really been able to snowball that lead.
Yeah, Paliva's going in deep. I mean, it does not matter. They have such a lead right now. This is going to be a little bit of a last stand here. A nice knockup from Nico. Squish is going to get taken super low. He does get taken down. That is a kill for Rafflecopter. They're looking to end the game right now. They're going to keep trying to push. Rammus getting taken super low. A nice wall, forcing the flash from Zenith. But here comes Pantheon trying to find what he can. He gets the initiation, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The members of Rammus 310 do not matter. A godlike Tristana Alberon popping off here. A nice pullback from the Xayah, but this is going to be their last chance.
Yeah, 5 versus 3. This could very well be the final push of the game. The Xayah Feathers aren't able to get the
tower
pick,
shot.
but no. The final kill does come through here.
Yeah, and that is going to be GG. Rammus 310 evening up the series at 1 apiece. And man, what a dominating performance from the team.
Yeah, completely different game we see here in game 2. It really feels like Rammus 310, completely different identity in draft coming through this time round. Able to even up the matchup. Last game, things were pretty even for the majority of the game. This game, things were even for a small portion of the game, and then Rammus 310 just went wild with it.
Yeah, I think we saw, the kind of blueprint of the game for LSG come out, where it's like, okay, we're going to set up and we're going to secure these early dragons. We're going to play to get an early jungle lead. We're going to transition the jungle lead into the early objectives. And then we're going to try and secure a number of objectives in order to turn this into a situation where we force you to come and fight us at Soul, or, when we have a positional advantage or vision advantage. And then we're going to be in a situation where, hey, you either give us the Soul or you take a bad fight. In this case of game 1, sometimes both. And what we saw this game instead was Rammus 310 was able to generate enough advantages prior to dragon spawning where they could fight people in the mid lane. They got a bunch of kills on the Tristana, and they could just start taking down turrets, setting up situations where, hey, LSG, you have to fight us. Like we're just gonna walk our at what was at the time like a 3-0 Tristana into your turrets, and what's your answer? Like, And the answer was a lot of the time, okay, we're going to fight you and we're going to lose. And Rammus 310 was able to make those fights work, and then they were able to transition those into the dragons and stop the stacking going on from LSG. They were able to transition, get some big gold leads, get the towers down, and it really just felt like a pretty clean end from a position of like basically I think once Auberon hit about 5-0 on the Tristana, it really felt like the game was pretty much over. Unless LSG was able to get a sequence of picks and prevent the Tristana from really playing the team fights at all, because if she was attacking, LSG was not winning that team fight.
All right, folks, that about does it for game number 2. We are going to take a short break, but we are coming back with game number 3, final game of Tier 1 Rumble Finals. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, Riot Rumble fans. We have an extremely exciting series as we're about to go into game number 3 of the Tier 1 Rumble Finals. We got a banger on our hands here. So what are your guys' thoughts going into this game 3? I mean, obviously it's been very back and forth. Game 2 a little more dominant from Rammus 310, but what are your thoughts going into this last game?
Yeah, game 3, so many questions around draft. I think that all of our discussion after this last game has been about do they let them pick the Camille again, but then they leave this champion open, but then if this champion's open, then that champion that can get picked too. So I really think that Camille, something to think about. Ahri on the other side, something to think about too. Caitlyn, do you first rotation that Caitlyn? I think so many questions that come in around draft and composition for each team.
Yep. Want to note, LSG is going to be on red side again for the 3rd time in this series, so we're going to be seeing exactly the same, probably opener to the draft. At least in terms of the bans for Rammus 310, probably. What I am wondering about is, are they going to preserve the Gwen ban? I think that's the one that stands out to me for the LSG bans, where you're looking at the bans and you're saying, okay, well, they've been first picking Camille anyway. Do we need to ban this Gwen? Because I don't think it's doing a whole lot for you, and I think that gives you a slot that you can work with as long as you're okay with them first picking Camille. The danger, of course, is if you drop you swap the Gwen. Okay, they're going to go for it again. I'm kind of surprised by that because to me, while yes, the Gwen is good against Squish's champion pool, Werde has clearly displayed that he wants the Camille. He is sticking, he's first picking the Camille, and I think he'd be perfectly happy with that. So we're so far seeing exactly the same bans.
Run it back.
And we're running it back so far, and yep, there's
That has to be a Pyke.
I think it's almost certainly gonna be the
And
Pyke.
that has to be a Camille, right?
And it's gonna be the Camille, and then I think we're gonna see the Ahri next, and like, I think maybe the red 2 pick might be something. The first point where we see something different, I think is my best guess. But even then, you could try and stick it out and just say we're just gonna play bot lane better. Like maybe they're just gonna say, hey, you know what, we're cool if you pick Tristana, Neeko, and we're just gonna try and play the bot lane better and not have our AD carry get blown out at level 2.
Poppy as well. Another question of whether or not LSG pick it this time round. It has been pretty successful in the first couple of games, and we do see the Poppy again and Tristana Prio. It really seems like LSG think that Rammus 310 can pick that Tristana again in the B2B3, and they don't want to give it to Auburn again.
Interesting. So we have yet to see. This is actually going to be our first game seeing Tristana being played by Banwaz, unless we're seeing something really wild like a Tristana mid or something like that, which I think is unlikely.
Yeah.
Want to mention it as a possibility because you never know. People do some wild stuff in Rumble these days.
It is the finals.
It is finals. It's the final game of finals here for Tier 1 Rumble. Could be anything happening. We're going to see the Neeko get locked in. I think it makes a lot of sense. It was great in the early lane last game for Rafflecopter, and did some nice stuff on the map later on. But honestly, to me, the biggest part of the Neeko impact in the last game was just winning the early 2v2. Felt like that meant so much for Rammus 310 as we're getting a hover on the legendary Fofox Azir.
Wow, and he locks it in. That's going to be very exciting, and I'm really interested to see what they do in this 3rd pick here. In the last 2 games, they've opted to pick Alistar with this 3rd pick, but obviously you don't have your jungle locked in yet. You know what their support's going to go, so I think you could go a couple of different avenues for kind of your last pick here in the first rotation. Yeah,
Ahri, of course, is still on the table, but the Syndra hover will come through. It is, of course, another champion that is played, and we're not going to see the Ahri 3 games in a row. But I do think it's still important to talk about that Azir, because Fofox was known as, the Azir and Anivia. Those are the 2 signature champions. And even though this Rumble, we've actually been seeing that Fofox has been diversifying his champion pool a lot more outside those 2 champions, here in finals, we're still seeing those 2 signature champions. So this game 3 should really be a treat here.
Yeah, it is kind of funny that, I think the story for Fofox of this whole Rumble was everyone said he was like a 2-trick, and you ban out his top 2, and like he was just not that good of a player afterwards. But this Rumble, he was really successful on a variety of things, the Nefuri, the Cho'Gath, etc., right? And like didn't feel like he needed to rely on the Azir and the Anivia. And yet the last, the finals and also the semifinals, he's been going back to the Azir and the Anivia, and they've looked really good, especially the Azir in semifinals. Wow, that is some respect,
man.
Respect on the Rammus from Triptoid. That is crazy to me. That I mean, he got away with a lot last game, and yeah, I think it's fair to say, okay, go 1 deeper or go back to the Nocturne, which he did have 1 game on. The Xin Zhao is up, but I wouldn't be shocked if that actually gets picked here for, for Axfender's not going to go for it. They're going to say you can have the Xin Zhao if you want it, which is interesting because that seems like his most preferred jungler here on Triptoid, and so I'm kind of surprised to see them ban the Rammus and the Pantheon over it. Maybe they think the Xin Zhao is more exploitable in some way, or there's something specific that they're looking for that they don't want to deal with. As we're actually getting in the Nocturne hover, which again I think is wild because I don't think the Nocturne looked particularly good for Triptoid. Obviously the ultimate is great, just being able to nearsight everybody, but the rest of the Nocturne play I did not think looked particularly good.
Yeah, I think the big benefit for LSG here by picking the Alistar is either way, that means you get jungle counter pick with 5th pick. So even if you think it's going to be Xin, if you're not sure, it might be Nocturne. Now it's going to be really interesting. The Vayne locked in. Okay, we're getting the Vayne from Rammus 3. This is a spicy pick, man. Let's go. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what this 5th pick is. Like, what is the answer to their Nocturne? What did they wait till this 5th pick to get value on?
Yeah, and of course it is Hax Defender's jungle pick here, presumably. And we have seen how important, we also talked at the beginning of the day about how important it is to unlock Hax Defender. And we really saw that. Game 1, Jarvan, really pivotal pick. Game 2, Pantheon, not as strong. They lose that game. And now that's Xin Zhao. They don't pick it R4, but it is R5 in this case.
Yeah, and the game plan for Rammus 310 is going to be very different this time. They have Vayne Azir. They are totally happy if this game goes to a 25-minute fight over a 4th dragon and they just roll up with, maybe they can even be down, 2,000-3,000 gold. They show up with the Vayne Azir, and if they can get a decent angle on a fight, they can, ace you and take over the game from there. That is very realistic here in a way that in game 1, it was not, because they had things like the Corki, which does not scale particularly well. Things like the Anivia, which, it's fine, but it's not a super scaler, pick in those dragon fights at like 25-ish minutes. The Azir and the Vayne are though, and those are the picks that I think are really, really scary to look at if you're LSG, looking at this and saying, okay, we need to push the pace of this game really, really fast, because if this Vayne and this Azir get to 2 or 3, really scary to think about 4 items, you are going to be in a lot of trouble.
All right, folks, here we go. We are loading into game number 3, last game of the finals for Tier 1 Rumble. The winner of this game will be the Tier 1 champion, and so let's jump into it.
Yeah, of course, the pinnacle of Riot Games competition. We talked about it at the beginning, and now it's time to show up, right? It is game 3 of the best of 3 finals.
All right, we're loading in the map. Shout out to Spirit Blossom. Looks beautiful loading in, getting to see all the animations and, the map colors looking super gorgeous. So, think this game will probably just see a 5-point. Don't think we'll see the invade here to the blue side like we did last game. Just get a little bit of 5-point setting up.
Yeah, we're going to see the 5-point. I wouldn't be surprised to see, someone trying to establish vision somewhere. It would not be shocking to me if like Zenith and Banwas walk up to try and get a level 1 ward on the Raptors or something like that. But so far, it doesn't look like anyone is going to be going for that. There's definitely better defensive tools than offensive tools in this level 1, generally speaking. And so not shocking to me to see as, it looks like Zenith might be going for that late ward. Fox is basically saying, you can get the ward, but I'm going to at least get some damage. Actually chooses not to go for it. Kind of surprised by that. I feel like, okay, nice that they get the kill on the ward. I feel like he could have actually chunked Zenith there pretty well, like gotten like 2, 3, maybe even 4 autos as, okay, a second ward is going to be used on the Raptors. That is a lot of investment of early vision here, right? Spending 2 wards instead of 1 is pretty expensive, and that does mean that there's some potential for some of these, some of these early plays to not get spotted. That having been said, Triptoid's on the Nocturne, so those plays are probably going to need to be by Rafflecopter, because the Nocturne is not going to be going for a lot of early moves, let's say.
Yeah, it was also the Polifa Syndra that used the ward, so potential gank opportunities there for Triptoid. But again, Fox, on the Azir, not necessarily known for the early game, so I think the gank assist might be a little bit tough. But I'm really excited to look at this bottom lane. We have Vayne Neeko here in game number 3, locking in the Vayne, so I'm really excited to see how that matchup turns out.
Yeah, so we were talking about the Vayne scaling. One other thing I want to note here that I think makes the Vayne a particularly good pick in this situation is that the Vayne just hard denies the Alistar. You can just queue up your Condemn on the Alistar whenever you think that the Alistar might be comboing you, and if you correctly predict that, then it's pretty bad for the Alistar's. We're seeing a bit of a trade here, but both AD carries are getting low.
Yeah, LSG gets level 2 first, but looks like they're going to be the ones on the receiving end of First Blood. That's First Blood to going over to Vayne on the Oberon. They're going to try to get Zenith really low. He does still have Flash. The Root's going to come out. Is this going to be a second kill? It is a double kill, and the Vayne is off to an incredible start.
Nick, you spoke to us about Rammus 310 being happy with this game going 25 minutes. Now I think they'll be happy with this game going even like 20 minutes. That Vayne is already unlocked. double the gold of that Tristana right now.
A disaster for LSG. Last game was already rough when your AD carry blew both summoners and had to base. This is so much worse. The Vayne has 2 kills, so massively ahead, and it is not going to get better. When you are the Tristana and you fall behind to a low-range character like the Vayne, who has a lot of mobility spells, your W is not a good tool for dealing with the Vayne. Your ult is not a good tool for dealing with the Vayne because it's such a long cooldown, and the Vayne can just tumble into your face and just start trading with you when the Vayne is ahead. And that is so scary.
Yeah, and it's a little unlucky because LSG really did hit that level 2 power spike first, but in the middle of the Headbutt Pulverize, we saw level 2 being hit by Rufflecopter and Oberon, which allowed them to re-engage and to flash in. So great presence of mind from them to know that they can turn it around. On another, that will go to Triptoid. So it really seems like those first 5 minutes of the game are favoring Rammus 310 here.
And initiation from Zenith, not going to turn much. As we get the fight mid as well, the 1v1, Hax Defender and Triptoid just going for the fight. A nice stun from Polifa, but Fofox is just going to dash out of there, no problem.
Yeah, a little bit of unfortunate interactions there on both sides for Rammus 310. I think LSG's got to be pretty happy with that, with the Nocturne not getting the spell shield as Hax Defender forced a flash, just fearing that Wardo was going to do the E2 flash combo there on the Camille, and if he did, it would have been for sure a kill there onto Hax Defender. It could just kill while during the stun there, and I think wise flash by Hax Defender, just doing it preemptively. But I do want to note, Triptoid hitting that smite's big for him. He has missed a lot of smites, a lot of 50-50s over the course of Rumble so far. Even getting one, as he did in the semifinals as well, kind of similar situation on the early crab. Got to be big for him in terms of, hey, I'm a real jungler too. He is off role and has been put into a tough situation, being forced to play jungle into these players who have years and years and years of experience playing jungle. But hey, he gets the smite, and he's actually pretty significantly ahead now, given that Hax Defender had to flash out there. There's no flash on the Xin Zhao, and the Nocturne is ahead about 2 camps.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how LSG play this out. I mean, we talk about scaling from the side of LSG. I feel like you're really looking at Syndra as your option, but Xin wants to be this early playmaker. He wants to be getting these ganks off, getting these opportunities, but when you have a 2-0 Vayne on the other side, it's a little bit difficult. And so I think at this point, LSG really need to be proactive. They need to be looking to make plays and kind of put this Vayne back in place.
Yeah, and I really do think that this LSG team comp does have a lot of pick potential with that Syndra, and then the fallout from the Xin to really create those advantages in some of those early game skirmishes. Of course, a lot of the advantage at the moment is on that Vayne, but we might be able to see some of those mid-jungle fights, maybe even a top laner involved there, or of course the supports who have been roaming relentlessly throughout the entirety of this game. So of course, we have spoken a lot about the advantage that Rammus 310 has, but LSG still, of course, very much in it, is able to, or could be able to secure some of those picks in the mid-late game.
Yep, I do think, for what it's worth, LSG does have the tools to kill a Vayne. The problem that they're looking at is that they don't really have the tools to kill a Vayne and an Azir. And so as long as the Vayne is really strong and they're able to execute on somehow taking out the Vayne with like Syndra's combo, I think the game is still realistically winnable. Even though at this point, the fact that they're already down over 1,000 gold is kind of a massive lead at this point of the game. It's not insurmountable by any means, as we're seeing a little bit of a movement here onto mid lane.
And a nice stun from Polifa. Hax Defender not going to be able to land the follow-up. He's dashing in. Fofox is going to dash out, no problem. We do also have Triptoid here, though. Polifa does have flash, is going to have to burn that to escape. Triptoid's going to follow. Here comes the taunt. He is going to get it, and a feat picked up here for Rammus 310, and that's 3-0 to start this game.
Yeah, that's a beautiful gank coming in here from Triptoid. Is able to pressure that Syndra, forcing the flash. Flashes in afterwards, knows that there is no follow-up, knows that that Scatter the Weak from the Syndra is on cooldown from earlier, trying to get the pick on the Azir. Makes it an easy pickup for that jungler.
Yep, Nocturne is not a good early ganker, but you have one flash that you can spend on your pre-6 gank, and sometimes do something good with that. Outside of that, it's pretty tough, but did spend his flash there. The flash on Syndra being burned due to the positioning and the way that the Syndra played up to get the combo onto the Azir. I think nicely done. Good, was in the right place at the right time. Was able to spend that flash to not only trade for the mid lane flash, but also get the kill. I will note this is another free first dragon going over to LSG. This has been the story of every single game. Is that every single game we see a free dragon going over to LSG. This one's maybe a little bit more costly because this time Hax Defender is actually behind in farm rather than being significantly ahead as he was in games 1 and 2. And so spending time doing the dragon is a little bit more costly when you are already down and the Nocturne is farming, as we're seeing Wordoi pull the wave downwards there. Willing to tank one tower shot. I think a nice move there to get the wave concentrated. It's a nice way to get some extra CS for you on your next base. Yeah, it's an expensive dragon, and it's probably going to lead into these grubs coming in for Rammus 310. And of course, they might even be able to get all three, depending on what's happening here. The Azir has come over in the mid lane, and I don't really expect Hexbender to try and contest this. And getting 3 grubs is the first time we're going to see that for Rammus 310. And that is, of course, really, really nice for your Camille later on. Of course, this game, as we're seeing Rafflecopter do some aggressive minion positioning here on the Nico. But yeah, I think it's always great to get those 3 grubs when you were expecting to have the split push advantage. And as we've seen from the previous 2 games, we know the Camille is going to be ahead in the side lane later on.
Yeah, so far definitely a lot slower of a game, but I mean, talking about the Camille in the side lane, we actually see a pretty even matchup top lane so far. I missed it. Was Poppy doing the Sunfire build as well this game? I'm not sure if that was,
so we're actually seeing yet another different Poppy build. We're going to see a play here, though, as I don't think this is going to turn into much, as Triplet's going to go straight in here onto
Nocturne ulting onto Paliva, picking up the kill just for himself and getting the assist for Fofox, but a really great ultimate from Triptoid.
And one of the pieces of value that you actually get with that Nocturne is that you are able to spell shield the scatter the weak. I believe here Paliva did actually miss, but the flash comes in.
Nice flash. Wardowy's going to ultimate to stay alive, but he's not going to be able to. Squish picking up the kill, and a great gank from Hax Defender, as we're going to have TP from Fofox just to pick up this wave.
Yeah, that's going to be the first kill going over to LSG. We'll go, of course, onto that Poppy. That Camille that snowball that we saw in the previous 2 games might be slower compared to what we are used to seeing. So it will be interesting to see what that Call Camille does opt into that Call again, choosing to scale versus that Poppy and get some of that additional gold that we were able to see him put to good use last game.
Yeah, I think it was a nice thought from Fofox to try and TP to save your top laner to try and hold the dive. But it was before 10 minutes, and before 10 minutes, TP is very slow. So didn't really make it in time to do anything. I think if that was an unleashed TP, then Fofox probably would have arrived in time to get a trade kill, or maybe, if you're lucky, save Wordoi in combination with the flash, depending on the situation. But unfortunately, just due to the timing of that play, was not able to get value out of that TP aside from picking up a few CS under the turret. Overall, though, I think you're still pretty happy with the way that this game is playing out as Rammus 310. That having been said, this is the first game where we are seeing the Poppy actually ahead in the laning phase. And like I was saying, this is actually a different build. This is kind of what I consider to be like the scaling Poppy build of you're going the Sundered Sky, but you get the early tier. When you get the second item Fimble Winner to go with this, if you can get enough gold to kind of get 2-3 items together, you can actually scrap out pretty effectively with the Camille if you're not behind in gold. As a little bit of an engage here bot lane. I don't know
Pop
what
lost him.
2v2, the ultimate from Nico coming out. They're going to pick up a kill. That's a killing spree onto Oberon. They're going to try to catch the Zenith, but he's pretty tanky. They're still trying the auto attack. One more.
Oh,
The
flash
double
too.
kill, and he's going to live. That is a 4-0 lane. An amazing play from the bottom lane of Rammus 310.
Oh, and that timer for the Vayne to come online keeps on reducing more and more by the second. Oberon is showing us one heck of a performance on that Vayne over here, but of course, a lot of credit goes over to Rafflecopter, who was able to find that engage angle with the clone, with the Pop Blossom, secures another 2 free kills for that Vayne.
Yeah, I mean, that was an incredibly tight timing on the end there. Zenith went for the Q flash on Alistar. If that Vayne auto attack does not go off there and Zenith dies, Oberon dies under that turret for sure while pulled. And the shutdown goes not to the ideal location. It would have gone to the Alistar, but that would have been a big swing of the Vayne getting one less kill and dying, not being able to push out the wave, the Alistar getting a bunch of gold to potentially, get some value out of roaming around the map, maybe get some early, like, maybe get like a winged Moonplate or something like that. Instead, we're going to
Woo, the
see
minion.
another Nico play here, but Benoit's, I think, aware there was probably a Nico in that wave, had the buffer ready on the Tristana W.
Yeah. Need to respect that Tristana minion, not Tristana, sorry, the Nico minion transformation there can really catch you off by surprise if you're not counting the minions essentially every single wave, and that's sort of the mental stack that Nico can add onto a game of League of Legends.
Oh, Smite back, Hax Defender getting that one away from Triptoid this time. So Hax Defender getting a little bit back. I will note that Hax Defender is still down 3 camps to Triptoid, so still a nice advantage for the Nocturne, who does farm faster and of course has very, very efficient ganks, since you can just go for that R from long range. You don't have to actually walk all the way into the lane. You don't have to set things up as much, which is very nice, very efficient.
Feels so weird seeing Vayne sieging a turret under versus Tristana here. Complete opposite scenario that you're used to expecting, or that you might expect from these two champions, but really shows just how powerful that Vayne is. Blade of the Ruined King, first item completed here, and that will start some of the snowball that we might be seeing here from Rammus 310.
Yeah, I think this is what's one of the most grim things about this game for LSG, is that you just had to give over a free dragon to Rammus 310. And I mean, even outside of the gold difference, just the fact that you had to give the dragon positioning on second dragon puts you in a position where it's kind of hard to look at your win conditions, because you really want to stack up the dragons from the LSG side. You want to use your early game advantages, what theoretically should be your early game advantages in mid and bot, to set up on those dragons and put yourself in a position where you get a positional advantage. You force the Vayne to come to you. As a nice flash comes out from Triptoid, bit of a greedy invade to be realistic here, but ultimately gets to get away with just losing the flash, so not the worst situation ever.
Yeah, meanwhile, they're just letting Oberon split push lane, or split on his own. Again, this is a 4-0 Vayne already at 14 minutes in the game, and this is just a widgeon condition, and we talked about in pick ban, LSG opted to blind the Tristana, and they were like, we're going to take this away from you, go for this, and they clearly, from the side of Rammus 310, they were ready for it. The Vayne coming out, and they've been playing this 2v2 very well.
There's
Flash engage from Fofox, gonna pick up a kill, an amazing engage from Fofox, and that's a kill going to Rammus 310.
And that was a beautiful flash forward coming in from Fofox. Expects the Syndra to flash away here and is able to Emperor's Divide the Syndra back into his team. Another kill goes over the side of Rammus 310.
Yeah, the flash predict there was really nice. It looks like they're actually going to go for a secondary play here on Squish.
That might be a death ball.
I think Squish is going to have the W, and that is going to put you in a position where you're probably not making out of this one.
Yeah, not looking too good. The Camille is going to come through. They are going to pick up a kill, and that is another kill for Azir. It is 8-1 right now for the side of Rammus 310. We see Hax Defender and Triptoid, a little bit of a 1v1 here. Khalifa's coming to roam up. I don't know what he's going back in on this, trying to do it.
Pop Blossom
Ultimate gonna pick up the kill. Oh, he's gonna flash away. They're trying to do what he can. He gets taken so low. The Ignite taking him down. Azir picking up the kill. And again, 9-1 in Rammus 310. Just keep pushing farther and farther ahead.
This is such a massive lead for Rammus 310. It is over 5,000 gold at 15 minutes. That is crazy how big we are seeing this lead. And with the state of the dragons and the rest of the objectives on the map, all 3 grubs on Rammus 310, it's going to be the Rift Herald going over as well. It is hard to see the angles for LSG, how they would pull this game back. I think it has to start with a pick onto the Azir. Honestly, a pick onto anyone that isn't the Camille, really. Basically, someone who has a shutdown. Ideally, you even get multiple picks. Like, get a good skirmish. Maybe you get let's live a little here. Let's put our imaginations out and say, let's imagine a skirmish where they get simultaneous picks onto the Vayne and the Azir. Okay, if you can turn that then maybe into a dragon, that puts you into a position where, okay, you've got 2 dragons, the gold advantage has closed a little bit, but it really will take that level of swing, because they are at such a big disadvantage, and it's not just that they're at a big disadvantage, they're at a big disadvantage against Vayne Azir. So it's not getting better if they just hold this gold disadvantage where it is. It is going to keep getting worse and worse and worse as the game goes on.
Yeah, and LSG, they do have the tools to create those picks. They do have the Syndra Scatter of the Week. They do have the Alistar follow-up. They do have the Poppy as well. But at the same time, you will need to invest a lot of cooldowns to reach that scenario, that dream condition that you are talking about right now. So, you know, likely, even though you might be able to get a pick or two, it might not necessarily be the case that that pick or two actually translates into an objective or a one team fight.
Yep, seeing the Rift Herald here get used to break mid lane turret. Always a favorite of the organized teams to just break these as, Triptoid maybe needs some driving lessons. And even with the forgiveness changes that have come in recently for the Rift Herald, there's no forgiveness for that one.
Yeah, we are going to see Rammus 310 try to push. One thing to note, though, is their siege with Vayne is a little tougher. Obviously, she's a little bit shorter range, so it might be a little bit tougher to siege against the Syndra Tristana. But yeah, I mean, we talk about at this point such a huge lead. In your guys' thoughts, what is the win condition for LSG? How do they bring this back in kind of an unwinnable situation right now?
I think it's like Nick said, right? Like you do need to play around those picks, and you do need to translate those picks into an objective, into a one-team fight. That can't just be the 1 or 2 picks and the 1 or 2 shutdowns. It will be a marathon, not a sprint. In this case, because you really do need to collect some of those objective bounties. You need to collect some of those bounties, actually, that are on all 5 of Rammus 310's members. So first objective bounty claimed here, an extra 400 gold going into LSG's pockets. And, you know, the journey, how does it go again? The journey to 1,000 miles, something like that. I nailed it.
Starts with a single
Amazing.
step here as, yeah, the first objective bounty is nice. I think the players I would be looking at on LSG are the Palifa Syndra and the Alistar from Zenith. They have the tools to actually enable those picks. Everyone else, you know, the Poppy, pretty unlikely you're getting a good enough wall pin in order to set up a pick onto the Azir or the Vayne in a realistic scenario, particularly given you're probably going to be side laning against the Camille, where you're just not going to get a lot of opportunities to do that kind of thing. The Syndra combo as well as the Alistar combo can potentially both lead to those really lopsided plays that they're going to need, right? Like, it is, you know, we didn't really talk about it earlier, saying, oh, you want to get the kill on the, you know, the Azir and the Vayne. It's like, one way that could happen is, like, imagine the Alistar gets some kind of crazy, like, flash 4-man, you know, pulverize or something like that, right? If you get that, and you have the damage, you know, following up in the right position, and maybe you catch, you know, a Wordaway out of position, and maybe he's not there with the rest of his team, you get a 4-man pulver or something, or even a 3-man. That's the kind of situation where you can turn those big plays, as we're seeing a play onto Wordaway here, but I think this is going to be hard to pull off.
Oh, yeah, that is a slippery Camille, not even close, just going to say see you later. And, I mean, we're talking about these win conditions for LSG, but, I mean, as Nick, you brought up before, like, this is Vayne Azir, right? So if you're going to make these win conditions, if you're going to find these picks, you have to do it kind of soon, because you're kind of getting to the point where it's going to only be harder and harder.
Yeah, I think it's tough for LSG. Like, that play, that top lane play is a desperation play. You're going onto the Camille, who you know has flash, in a long lane where she's going to be able to hook shot far away, and we're seeing observers are toggling here. Like, there is no vision in this area. This Otacon is probably just going over for free, but this is the kind of way, you know, maybe they can catch them on the tail end of this. Maybe they can get one kill, but they're just not quite close enough. And maybe if they were 2 or 3 seconds earlier, they could have done something.
Well,
but instead, Triptoid's going in.
Instead of LSG looking for this, Rammus 310's looking for this. Triptoid goes in way too early, and he gets shut down. But a nice ultimate from Rafflecopter knocks up all of the members of LSG. They are all so low. Wordy picks up a kill for himself. Oberon is unstoppable. The shutdown is going to come. However, that is an ace for the side of Rammus 310, and a huge lead grows even bigger.
Yeah, and that is Rammus 310 just hitting LSG with their wallets at this point. You know, it is the Triptoid does go in on the Nocturne, dies immediately, but sets up the conditions really well for that Camille to flank in for Rafflecopter to show us yet another insane ultimate.
Yep, it's a 5 for 2, and I want to note the 2 people that died are actually the 2 people you would even want to die in that play as Rammus 310, the Nocturne and the Camille. In basically every way, not only in that they didn't have shutdowns, but also in that those are the 2 people who are least important to be on the map to set up, like, vision from the Neeko or push turrets as the Azir and the Vayne. So we're going to see this coming back. We see, you know, this was a Nocturne ulting in, kind of in a really wild positioning. We get the 3-man Neeko ult, which actually cancels the end of the Tristana dash there. Then the Camille coming around from the backside, just getting lots of damage off, and the Camille barely, barely goes down here at the very end. Like actually almost was a survival there from Wordaway at the tail end of that fight. Nice cinematics there, nice little angle as we're seeing the kind of Rammus 310 domination in this game.
Yeah, I just want to say, I mean, we've mentioned it so far, but this Rafflecopter Deco getting so much value, has the highest kill participation. His Triptoid is going in, he's trying a 1v3. The Azir is here, but this might be a little bit too aggressive. The ultimate from Syndra is going to come out. That is going to take Triptoid down. A two-man knockback from Fofox, but he doesn't really have much support. Here comes Rafflecopter. He's disguised as the Vayne. The TP's coming in as well. This will be a 4v3. This is LSG's fight if they're going to find one. The stun's coming through. That is a shutdown onto Azir, so that's something. And they're looking for more. Banwas is in the back line. He's auto-attacking the Nico. The bomb is there. He gets the ultimate's going to come out. The knockup, but it's not going to be enough. Another shutdown picked up, but on this whole time, Wordy is pushing bottom lane, but a couple of shutdowns go the way of LSG.
I think you take this trade. I think LSG, you need the gold. That Camille will split push. It is a trade you have to accept that you will lose something for this play. At this point in time, it is that tier 3 turret. Thankfully for them, not an inhib, but these are the exact kinds of plays that we do need to be seeing coming out of LSG.
And Wordy's on his way mid. He's saying it's my turn to join the fight. Robert Oberon is godlike to flash away a double kill. They might still keep trying to chase. Camille is on the Polifa Syndra, but he's getting the stun away and no kills off of this. But man, this Vayne is so strong. Oh, LSG still trying to do something. Vayne is going to ult. A nice block by Poppy on the Camille, but in the end, still more kills for the side of Rammus 310. And looks like LSG is, nope, in the end, they're just going to back out.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of this whole sequence was excellent for LSG. I don't even know if Triptoid was like looking at his character when he ulted there. He ulted over multiple members of LSG to like ult onto a Syndra who was in side lane. I suspect he was probably focused on the Syndra, maybe even zoomed all the way in just looking at Syndra to click on her. But ultimately, it was a nice sequence there where they also were able to get the kill on Fofox. That shutdown did go over to Hax Defender, and that was great. But you got to know when to stop. You got to know when you're beat. And the Camille cross coming from the bot side jungle ultimately just came across onto the onto mid lane, and that just led into more kills and more map advantage coming out. And another thing I want to note, by the way, about the way that this game is going. This Vayne just bought a Terminus. Does have a dagger in inventory, but I wouldn't even be shocked if the next item is like a Jack Show or something like that, or even a Wit's End, something that's going to make it even harder to kill the Vayne. This is one of the dangers of Vayne, and one of the things we saw when in some of the earlier Rumble games with like Frost Delicious playing Vayne, for example, is when the Vayne gets sufficiently ahead of the game, the counterplay starts breaking down when the Vayne gets very tanky, because then your counterplay, a lot of times the Vayne is like, well, we just have to kill her. She's low range. We can do that. But as the game goes on and on, as the Vayne accrues more and more advantages, if the Vayne keeps doing that, it becomes harder and harder, and she becomes less and less killable over the course of the game. And that's one of the scary things, I think, even further for LSG is like, okay, the gold advantage now is like 7,000. It's pretty rough, right? Maybe not insurmountable in a normal game, as let's not talk about what Wordaway is doing right now. But maybe not insurmountable. But the scary thing is just your windows of counterplay are starting to shrink. Even with the Syndra combo, even with the Alistar combo, you're going to be running into having difficulty even killing this Vayne just due to how monstrously far ahead of the pacing of this game is and her ability to actually build defensively. Take a look at this gold. The Vayne is up over 3,000 gold on her direct lane opponent. That is crazy. That level of advantage is so big.
I mean, so surely, you see that 3K gold advantage going over to Vayne. That's 3K, that's another, and you take another like 2K with the Azir, that's 5K, then you're only behind 2K gold. So if you kill those two, you're not that far behind, potentially. That's sort of how I would like to be thinking if I'm on LSG and I'm thinking of ways we can come back into this game. But of course, Baron is a thing now, and Baron being a thing means that it could be punished.
Yeah, really nice stun here from Polifa. Wordy's going to try to do the 1v2. We also have to fight mid. Triptoid's going in, going to force the flash and the berry out of Banwas. Meanwhile, Wordy is also going to leave bottom lane. So in the end, a couple of ultimates burn. Looks like LSG, a nice double knockup from Rafflecopter. Again, this Nico fighting so much value. The knockback from Azir as well. Vayne is huge. The auto attack's going to take Zenith down. A double kill for Azir, and this will be Baron.
And I have to give such a shout out to Rafflecopter here. I feel like that Pop Blossom is present in so many of the plays that we're seeing. Those 18 kills, so many of them. I feel like 13 of them at this point are because of Pop Blossom, but of course some of those were early game before that level 6, and those picks, especially onto Hax Defender, will allow Ramnus 310 to get that Baron.
Yeah, and Wardy's just going to be able to get out of this one. LSG looking at their one chance, but this is a Baron for Rammus 310, about a 10k gold lead, and so now they're definitely looking to take this lead and end the game.
Yeah, I also would like to shout out Fofox. These Azir ults I think have been really nice. I think not even just the last one where he buffered the Azir ultimate against the Crescent Guard, which was really nicely done, nicely timed, just mechanically well executed. But also the ult in mid lane on the flash predict on the Syndra, that was huge. I think that was just one piece of many leading into the massive snowball kind of crushing down on LSG here for Rammus 310. I think this Azir has been incredible for Fofox, not even just in this series, but also in the semifinals. It is something that I think has done really well for Rammus 310. Overall, I mean, obviously great performance from these players. The game is not over yet, but 10k gold, dragon advantages, they have the better scaling comp. The margins are looking pretty thin here for LSG at this point, especially as the Azir now is at a point
which
where
one is it?
It's scary.
Hax Defender trying to get the fight, is going to have to flash out, but here comes the ultimate from Nocturne trying to do what he can, as well as Camille's on the back line. Triptoid still going in. Valvox on the killing spree, still trying to chase a legendary Oberon. The flash from Wordy onto the back line, trying to CC Wordy. This Oberon Vayne does not want to stop. It's keep going, and I think they're going to try to push the end of the game.
Yeah, pushing to end the game now. Baron buff, 5-man in the mid lane versus only 2 players. Do they greed for more than an inhib? They might be looking to end here.
And they're pushing on to the Nexus turrets. This is the last chance for LSG. Wordy does so much damage, it does not matter. The knockback from Fofox, and folks, that is going to do it. Rammus 310 are your 2025 Tier 1 Rumble champions.
Yeah, well deserved here for Rammus 310. Game 1 doesn't necessarily go their way. They pick the Rammus, they live up to their name, and they regain the confidence to win Game 2. Rammus ban Game 3. No problem. Tier 1 champions right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome series. Love to see that it went 3 games. I think ultimately, I think I would put a lot of credit on the pick ban adaptations that were implemented in Game 2. Early picking the bot lane here from Rammus 310. I think that priority ended up being really big. And then that put a lot of pressure where LSG didn't feel confident in switching up their bans. They felt like they had to maintain the 3 bans that they already had. So then they picked away the Tristana, saying, hey, we couldn't deal with the Tristana in Game 2. We need to take it ourselves. That then kind of snowballed into, oh, well, your AD carry isn't as comfortable in the Tristana, and that leads to a scaling pick getting really far ahead in the laning phase. And ultimately, I want to say really nicely done, both on the play, from the play and the pick and ban perspective for Rammus 310. I also think LSG played really well. They got Game 1. I thought their Game 1, team fighting especially, and their setup around objectives looked incredible. And so, yeah, really well played to both these teams. I want to shout them out. Yeah, I think really fun games, excellent to watch. It is a bit of a shame that Game 3 kind of ended so quickly and was a bit of a, was a bit one-sided, but overall, awesome series, and really happy to have been able to cast here.
Yeah, awesome. What a match overall, especially to end the finals and a great series. We're going to wrap it up here. Just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in, but also thank you to everybody that's worked on the Rumble staff, whether that be production, our organizers, observers, our referees, my amazing co-casters. Thank you all so much. We appreciate the time. See you next time.